Uh-huh. I came too early. Here it goes. Oh, I thought there was like 3 uh-huhs. I guess not. Uh-huh. What up? Hi, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Cus I Wanna. Cus I Wanna is the call-in show that I do when I wanna, cause I wanna, how I wanna. And I gotta tell you, oftentimes people are now used to expecting that if I start the show, I'm probably going to rant about stuff for a minute and then start calls. And actually, this time, no. We're going to get to calls here within another 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to start calls quickly because the thing I want to do is, let's call it squash some beef. I have made a number of people on Twitter, mostly theists, but there's a few pearl-clutching atheists who have come along for the ride, if I'm being honest. I have made quite a few people upset. If you watched Matt's show the other night, you will find that there is a whole part where he takes a call from somebody who was upset with me, a theist who was upset with me for a tweet that I won't pretend isn't innocuous. It's a little bit. I could see why somebody might take some umbrage with it. And a collective meltdown on Twitter happened. And basically, this altercation, this conflict between an individual and I called Craig, we're going to, in just a minute, I'll bring Craig on, and we're going to talk it out, because I think there will be moments where it is tense. I think there will be moments where I'm going to very clearly say, here's what I think is wrong with what you did. And I think he's going to say, here's what I think is wrong with what you did. But the goal by the end will have been to make some sort of peace, and maybe even have a mild fondness for each other, because even if by the end I think Craig is some, like, I'm not expecting this for the record, but even if it was like I'm expecting him to defend some insane bigotry and whatever, I am far beyond the point of only being friends and having camaraderie with people who perfectly match and align everything I need. I'm an advocate for, again, not calling Craig a bigot in this moment. I don't know Craig well enough to say Craig's a bigot, but I am more than an advocate of befriending bigots, because my own journey out of religion, out of fundamentalism, out of Christianity, out of Mormonism, is lined with people who, as an individual, were empathetic to me and were loving to me and treated me like I was still worth their time, despite the fact that I held some severely bigoted positions against their either non-religion or lifestyle or what have you. And so that'll be the call we get to here in just a minute. I guess the only things that I want to make sure I hit before we get started is, one, welcome to the line. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. If you like now or like later, the thing is if you wait until later and I forget to remind you, we might both forget for you to hit like. So maybe hit like, help us get our channel and our message and the mission of this channel and the purpose of everything, get it out to more places. That would be great. This Sunday, if you would like to Zoom chat with Forrest Valkai and myself, we are going to be doing a Zoom with all patrons of The Line. So if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/calltheline, and we'll be doing a one-on-one, face-to-face, not one-on-one, that's wrong, 2 on many, a Zoom call-in chat, sort of a Q&A probably style, because last time so many people came, we had to figure out a way to organize it more. And so now we've got a little bit more of an idea of what we're doing. That will be Forrest and I. And then in the coming week, John Gleason will be joined by Dr. Joshua Bowen. I believe they'll probably be discussing biblical slavery and taking calls to that end on Skeptalk on Monday. Sorry that I'm a little bit burpy. I'm trying to do silent burps. This is the greatest sparkling water in the world, 1877, at least as far as I've had so far, but it's specific, a brand specific to a Texas grocery store chain called HEB. And it does give me a little bit of burps. Tuesday will be myself with Lloyd Evans on HOSTility. Wednesday, I will be subbing in for Dillahunty because Dillahunty is away. And so I will be taking over his show, The Hang Up, on Wednesday. The guest, TBD. One of two things. Either I have an amazing guest that I'm making you wait to hear that I have as an amazing guest, or I have no guest, but I'm confident I'll be able to get a good one in short notice because I haven't actually approached anyone yet. One of those two are the possibilities. And then we'll be back with the Transatlantic Call-In Show next Thursday. So patreon.com/calltheline and all the other things that one can do to support. I have things to rant about. We'll do it after a call or two. But we're going to start with talking to Craig from Malibu. Let me bring him on. Craig and I we're battling. We're fighting. We're in a Twitter war. Hi, Craig.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me? Is the sound okay on my end?
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe boost you a little louder from my position, but you're good. You definitely are good.
Yes, we're in the middle of a Twitter feud, and I told the caller that we want peace. It looks like I want it on my end, and perhaps you want it on your end. So
I do, but I'll tell you this, Craig. I'll tell you, I don't want peace at the cost of pretending there isn't some shit to get out there, right? I want peace after a conversation, after a mild confrontation. I want to establish what happened. I want to litigate what I think are 3 points. You can tell me if there are more to litigate. And then at the end go, I hear you, you hear me. Nobody has to apologize to anybody unless they feel so prompted. I can't imagine that's probably the direction it's going to go, but surely, whatever could happen. I want to get it out in the air. I want to litigate with us, you and I don't even really care about, obviously this is my show. The live chat's more going to be on my side than yours. That's the nature of things. I'm not going to let that influence whether or not I feel more right or more wrong. Let me tell you let's start with,
can I say one thing before you start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so cool. I'm totally cool with that. That
Great.
sounds fine. That sounds fair. The guy on the guy taking the screening, I've only watched your show, The Line or any variation of your show, maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
I sort of assumed, and it looks like I assumed potentially falsely, that it was more of an atheist experience type wreck the theist show. And it seems like it's not. It's more of a Truth Wanted. I don't know if you know that show. I guess hosted it.
Yeah, I'm aware of. I'm aware of Truth Wanted. I'll just tell you what this channel is, because here's the thing. If you're trying to make a comparison to other things, it'd be more like comparing us to another network. So like the ACA, which is, you mentioned Atheist Experience. ACA is the network which has the Atheist Experience and has Truth Wanted. You understand that, right?
Right. Yes.
So The Line is my network. I originally started it as a show, and the original goal of the show was to have a show very much like AXP. And by the way, to the point that the people at AXP helped me set it up, the Atheist Experience, that is. And the difference in my model and their model was going to be, we're basically doing the Atheist Experience, but it doesn't have to just be people who live in Austin. We're going to have remote hosts from anywhere in the world, and we're going to be basically doing theism versus, for lack of a better way, we could get into something more, but theism versus atheism, but more importantly, why we're atheists versus why people are theists. And there is a distinction, and that's different. The Sunday show, which is every Sunday, is the one that is probably the most comparable to the Atheist Experience, but every other show has some level of deviation. Yeah, deviation is the right word. So Mondays we have Skeptalk. Skeptalk is specifically hosted by somebody with somebody who identifies as a skeptic, and to my satisfaction has shown they are, but also has some sort of relevant, whether it is scientific, mostly scientific, but maybe legal expertise or something, an expert in some relevant field who can take sort of higher level questions. And then on Tuesdays, we have HOSTility. HOSTility deviates completely. That I could even have a Christian on HOSTility, because HOSTility is about, here is an activist I like and a person that I think you should be aware of, see what they're doing. Wednesdays is Matt's show. Matt's show is about, he'll still do the atheist versus theist thing. Matt will do shows, though, about where he's hung up on something that's going on, basically what's on his mind recently. Thursday is the Transatlantic Call-In Show. It's like a call-in show, but for trans issues. And then this show, Cus I Wanna, has no goal. I feel like my ego has inflated to the point that I think it's a real shame people aren't listening to me live right now. And I jump on air and go, well, let me relieve there. Obviously, so many people are missing me right now. That's a full. I'm glad you told me. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to explain that to everyone who might be watching, not just yourself. So that's the too long breakdown.
Right, but most people who are watching have some awareness of the different micro branding of each iteration, probably. Like most of your audience kind of knows the drill.
Yeah, probably. Right? Probably. I think that a lot of them don't care much what the drill is. They just watch whatever the show is because they like who's on.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I agree. No, I get that. But, okay. So cool. So okay, go ahead. Let's see. Let's hear your end of what happened, and then.
I'm not even worried about the ends. Here's the ends that aren't debatable, right? That you'll agree to. You were in a Twitter discussion with somebody else, right? You all were talking about omnipotence and omniscience, and then somebody. By the way, I don't know this person. I'm not claiming to know this person, nor so I wasn't defending. But some Twitter account posted a meme, and the meme depicts a man who is having his pants unzipped by a woman who is kneeling in front of him. And the man is labeled as God. The unzipping is labeled as the word. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh because I'm showing my bias that I find the meme funny. And then the woman on the ground who is about to fillet the man has the word you over it. Now, I don't believe this meme was made directly for you, just that they felt it was in there. But anyway, the idea is that the implication of the meme is that you are such a God fan that you're about to fillet the word. You're sort of submitting yourself to the word.
I didn't even. Okay, so can I explain my end of that?
Yeah. What did you think the meme meant?
I didn't even interpret the meme. I honestly didn't. I didn't even try to figure it out or work it out. I probably triggered too quickly.
Yeah.
And went, you stupid freak, or whatever. I said something to him along the lines of, you despicable freak.
Right.
And tagged it. And then I muted him and walked on. Because in my experience, okay, when somebody does something like that, you're about to get 10 of those. And that person is going to do that for the next half an hour.
Craig, I totally agree with you. I agree that when you lash out at a meme, you're going to then invite more memes. And by the way, that's literally what happened with us. So let me complete the story. Continue on.
Wait, can I say one thing? Because I learned something. Yeah. I learned something in this exchange. Yeah. Because Matt Dillahunty said to me, why do you keep quote tweeting? And I was kind of like, well, that's a good question. Why do I? I wasn't really processing that that's a mistake.
I'll tell you why I think you do it. Would you like to hear why I think you do it?
Yeah.
I think you learned a long time ago that you can gather people to your side. Maybe you internalize it or whatever, but usually when a person quote tweets, the whole point of quote tweeting is to put it back at the top so it shows up on the feed so that you can gather people on your side. And from what I've seen, gathering people that you perceive on your side is a high. We'll get to that in a minute, but it's something you value very highly. And I think that that's where that practice comes from. And I know it sounds like this is a little bit of an attack. I'd like you to consider whether or not that's true or not instead of just defensively reacting. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. That's a legitimate interpretation. I don't think that's why I do it, because I'm not that good at Twitter and I'm not that strategic. Yeah. I was honestly doing it. This is how I was honestly doing it as a mistake.
Okay.
Because I'm when I'm talking to like Matt Dillahunty, and even when I was talking to you, usually my goal is to de-escalate. Mm-hmm. And put it on blast actually does gather people to your tribe from your side and makes it more of a potential fight. I was doing it kind of out of habit because it makes sure everybody sees it. And I wasn't really thinking it through. I'm not very good at Twitter. I'm a boomer. I'm dumb when it comes to.
I'm not great at it either, if it makes you feel any better.
Yeah, actually that kind of does, because I assume that most of the people I'm feuding with are way better at that than I am, and I'm sort of like, really inept at it. And it was only when Matt Dillahunty said, "Why do you keep quote tweeting?" that I was like, "Gosh, I guess I should stop doing that."
Yeah.
Because I was actually stirring up the pot and drawing a lot of people, and that was really not good, because that's not what I wanted to do.
Sure.
I mean, I may have with him, but when you and I were going back and forth,
Craig, that's fine.
Okay,
that's enough explanation. Let's not stick too long on any one thing. So Basically,
Sure.
that tweet came in, the quote tweet comes out, and your caption on the quote tweet is, "What is this, you disgusting freak? What's wrong with you, piece of garbage?" Now that quote tweet is what somehow makes it to my feed, which this is maybe something you don't know. There's no reason you would need to know this, but something about Twitter said, Jimmy Snow, you don't follow the person who posted the meme, you don't follow Craig, but enough of your friends do.
You're going to literally see this guy at his absolute worst when he's, okay, granted, I'll give you that that's a little childish of me in that moment. That was dumb. I was triggered.
Dude, I don't care, but I don't care about any of that. Being childish is fine because, look, I'm going to defend then you decided to be childish. All I saw was you being childish, but I didn't care about that. All I cared about was I saw, oh, this stranger thinks that's gross. This stranger is that upset over a porny type of meme. Everybody's got clothes on, but a sexual innuendo. And that makes this guy he's engaging with a disgusting freak. Hold my beer, I can top it. So I replied, this is offensive because God isn't straight. He's a twink who loves cum-cum in his tum-tum. And I've been waiting to be able to say that out loud and try and see if I can hold a straight face this whole time.
I've been waiting to say that.
Yeah.
So you are immature. You will grant that.
No. I'm not going to grant I'm immature because the concept of maturity is, if you want to say, will you say the joke was immature or that I was being child? Fine. But the concept of anybody thinking they are the most immature act I ever see anybody do are people who think they can tell other people how mature or immature they are. It's such a fucking egotistical bullshit exercise. But if you want to ask if a specific action was, did you think I was in serious and that I was coming in going, I, Jimmy Snow, a respected intellectual and debater, would like to make the point that Jesus or God loves the cum-cum in his tum-tum. Did you really think anything like that was happening? I don't think so.
No. I honestly thought you saw my interpretation when I was talking with people today.
Yes.
I won't go into my interpretation because my interpretation, I get what you're saying. Let's go with this. It makes sense now. Now it makes sense why you thought I was responding the way I did, because from your perspective, I in fact was. Because you were this is what I just heard. Tell me if this is correct. You basically said, this guy thinks that's childish or disgusting. Hold my beer. Watch this. I'll give it to you even better. A random theist that I don't know is pearl clutching because his brain has been infected by purity culture, and I can make it worse. Okay, I got it. Okay, yeah, now it all makes sense.
So let me give you the three things I think we need to litigate. We're going to try and do them quickly, all right? We kind of just did the first one, which is that you think my joke was offensive, but I actually want to talk about that with you, Craig, right? That's the first thing to litigate, that I've said something offensive, and therefore not only was it offensive, it's offensive to the point that I deserve accountability and consequences for making such an offensive joke. I would say that maybe you've changed your mind since we've just discussed this, but certainly when we were engaging back and forth, that was how you felt.
That's totally not how. Can I tell you my original interpretation? Because I was mistaken based on what you just said.
Sure.
Now that you explained how you saw it, that makes complete sense to me. Okay, purity culture is not a thing with me. I was not raised Christian. I was raised, I was a partier and a boozer and a...
Doesn't matter, Craig. If you were raised in America, there's no escaping purity culture. Whether or not you fell for it or not, it's there. It's infected you.
Well, no, for example, I still watch South Park, and my wife watches. I've got my wife watching South Park, and I find it really funny. So I'm not offended by you making some joke. I thought that literally. And what I said in the stream was that literally, now I realize that this is mistaken, but I think you can see how I thought this, was that you were trying to intimidate and harass everybody, pile on this theist and make dick jokes for the next 3 hours.
Okay.
I'm aware of the fact.
So here's my problem with that too. You said you thought I was trying to gather, harass, and intimidate people. All right, I'm gonna lay out the three things that I think we're litigating. The offensiveness of the joke is one. Number two is your action.
Of the joke, I don't care about.
I get it. But we actually have to come back to it, and you'll see why in a second. But the second thing, when you're saying this thing about me trying to cause the pile on, I was there solo, and I think the thing that we need to litigate is the fact that you first threatened to call upon, your phrase was 30 prominent atheists, to bring them in, and that you were going to tag them. And then I just told you to do it, but you had actually already done it. You ended up tagging 11. I know 30 was an exaggeration or just a number you pulled out in your head. I teased you for it, but you tagged people, a list of people that you then said not only would be on your side, but that they should come and hold me accountable. And I have a huge problem with that whole thing.
But wait, do you get it though? Wait.
No, I don't get it.
Because okay, so can I try to explain it?
Please be prompt, but yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I thought you were bullying. I thought you were literally saying, everybody pile on this guy.
When?
And make him... When you did the original come, Jesus, come, whatever.
That was a reply in your comments. How does that summon anybody? I didn't tag anyone. I just replied in your comments.
I don't get Twitter.
Sure.
Wait, I told you I don't get Twitter. Okay, you know who Joe Lehman is, correct?
No.
And you know who Matt Walsh is?
I know who Matt Walsh is. I don't know who Joe Lehman is. Maybe I would recognize an account, but I'm not great with names.
She's some sort of Christian who's kind of a liberal Christian. She does a lot of trans rights or whatever. I don't really know the deal, but she's very similar to God is Gray, but a little bit more controversial.
Okay.
Matt Walsh once tagged her, and she started going, literally started going, oh no, I'm going to get these guys in my feed now for a day and a half, and I have to be careful at school because they're going to start it. That's what I thought you were doing. I realize I'm mistaken. Okay.
It's just weird that you think that, because there were multiple times that you pointed out that I came to your replies. So I'm going to accept that you're saying that, and I'm going to accept that there's a disconnect. I'm just telling you from my end, there's no ever indicator that that was the case, because not only did you reply to me, you summoned people, and you said that I was replying directly to you in multiple cases and in the call with Matt. So I don't get it.
Okay, so I can explain all that, because it all makes sense from my perspective. Remember, I'm not good at Twitter. I don't intuitively get it. Why I kept saying you came on my timeline. Now, this is a little immature of me, but this to me is hence you are the aggressor. I'm not. In other words, this thing would never have ever started if nobody were tagging me. Like I always say that to people. Keep in mind, dude, you tagged me, not the other way. Because I never tagged.
And I never did tag you. I just hit reply. Not once did I tag you in our original altercation. I just hit reply.
So I don't really understand that, but that I take your word. I think, Jimmy, I totally understand how you are explaining yourself, and your explanation now makes complete sense.
Okay, so I want to ask you, do you want to retract when you said, this was your tweet, yes, you are a bully completely, really, obviously, actually.
You obviously, okay, yes, I completely retract that.
Great.
I apologize for saying that.
Cool.
Because from how you are explaining it, and I literally believe you 100%, you were not intending to put me on blast.
Correct.
You were not intending to signal to your audience, go after Craig and make these jokes for the next 3 hours.
Correct. I just wanted to make a twink joke. That was the whole thing.
Okay, fair enough. So then it's a total misunderstanding. You were just being Jimmy thought, you're just trying to be funny. Or just saying,
not even.
You were literally doing.
Craig, I'll tell you this.
You were just literally going.
This is a part of it I haven't revealed yet, because I felt like it would come off as an excuse before we talked about it. That thing is the last thing I tweeted before I fell asleep in like a stupor. Not that I wouldn't have still done it, but had I known the reaction, I would have done it earlier in the day to have the altercation that would then follow. I was in a medicated sleeping stupor, Benadryl stupor, if you will, and would have done it with more energy to then have what would follow. So I don't want to say that I was tired, so I wouldn't have tweeted that if I wasn't tired. I'd tweet it again right now. I absolutely would, but I would have done it knowing I had hours to deal with what would follow.
Here's what I hear. Here's what I just heard.
Yeah.
And this happens to me on Twitter a lot. Sometimes Twitter has a life of its own, and you kind of like half paying attention. Like I was saying things that people heard way differently than I intended, because I'm typing really fast, and I didn't mean it that way. And sometimes Twitter has a life of its own. And if you thought it was going to be a big deal response, you may have still tweeted it, but you would have been a lot more cognizant of the results and paying. That's what
honestly, the only thing that I'm saying that the sleep did was, one, it probably created the quality of the joke, but it doesn't mean I don't still find it very funny. But that's the sort of joke that I get pervier closer to sleep. And two, the sleepiness is why I didn't stick around and try, because I fell asleep. Had I known that there was going to be a battle, I'd have done it earlier in the day. I'm not worried about, I'm not going to say I did it too fast or whatever else. I hear you.
Fine. But here's what may have happened.
Yeah.
Let's say it was early in the day and you tweeted, then we would have been battling each other a little bit. And I'm pretty sure we probably would have come to some resolution where we just kind of were like, okay, whatever. 3 or 4 tweets later, where we're both kind of, because that's happened to me where I've gotten into, the only time I ever get into a prolonged Twitter battle is with a bad faith dick. And you obviously, from how you are explaining this, are not that, and we're not that.
Oh, please don't represent me that way. I can be a bad faith dick. I don't think I was being a bad faith. I think I was being a dick. But at a certain point, I was like, holy shit. Craig, let me tell you why. The thing that bothered me more than everything, there's another little thing, and I want to get back to it. The actual joke and whether it's offensive and whether it warranted any reply, I want to get back to, but I don't care as much about that. Here's what I cared about. I cared about being called a bully by somebody who thinks I'm held accountable to quote unquote prominent atheists. I promise I'll give you a second to explain this in a second. Let me give you the whole thing first. This tagging of multiple atheists, and let me tell you the breakdown. It was about 3 of them are personal friends of mine. One of them is somebody who I know of, but not like we interact in tweets and stuff, but we've never done a project together. And then the rest of the list was, I'm not going to identify anybody, and I'm not even going to tell you the exact number, but let's just say a couple to a few are people I don't respect as skeptics or humanists and would say that they aren't even either of those things. And then the rest were people I didn't know. And so there was this idea that my accountability, let's say I had legitimately done something, Craig. Let's say I had actually done something wrong. Like I had tweeted something that I do disagree with. Something like theism is a mental illness. I think that's a stupid thing to say. I think it's an asshole thing to say.
Wait. Let me stop you. Perfect example, because that's how I took it.
I'm brilliant.
Something I'm not going to say brilliant, but that is a brilliant example.
Thank you.
Because that is what I was trying to hold you accountable to.
But here's the thing, Craig, I'm telling you this. If I had made an actually wrong statement like that and you summoned that same group of people, you'd have gotten the same reaction from me. Because even my friends in there, they can come to me personally and say, hey, I don't like that you did this. And we can have that conversation and they'll explain it to me and I'll either agree or disagree. And then usually we walk away still respecting each other, but we don't do any sort of public blast. We don't do any sort of public fight. This implication of here's the list of people who before they've weighed in, I have determined would already agree with me about you, your character, your behavior, and your tweet, including friends of mine. And then a group of people, I have no idea who they are. And then some of them, I actually go like, this is a terrible example. I would never feel. Here's the thing. I respect Paulogia and Shannon and Vice Rhino. Those are the friends of mine you tag. I actually agree with one of the things you've said. I think Paulogia has the best anti-apologetics channel in the world. I think he is better at anti-apologetics in a way that hits my mind than anybody I know. Shannon is somebody I like so much. She hosts one of my shows. Just a second. I'll give it to you in a second, Craig. Shannon's somebody I like so much. She hosts one of my shows. When I went, hey, I want to expand the network and I want to pay more people to be here, she was actually the first person I came to, which was funny because she's 0% ever incentivized by money. She was like, I'll do it because I believe in what you're doing, not because you're going to pay me. And Vice Rhino, weird person to tag because Vice Rhino likes dick jokes as much as I do.
Right. I don't. Okay. Can I talk a little? Hold on.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Craig.
Shannon, I actually love, and I have a lot more respect for her now because I thought she played that perfectly between you and me. She said, "I love you both. You guys don't have to like. My friends don't have to like each other." Something like that. And I thought that showed great character on her part and great diplomacy. So I've always loved Shannon. I've always respected Shannon. She's been on my channel. I like her a lot. I consider her a good friend. Now I consider her a good friend with great character and really.
That's fine. We both love Shannon. Sorry, I am trying to. I know I'm not doing it to myself as much, but keeping it prop. We both love Shannon for sure.
Okay, Vice Rhino. I inadvertently tagged him. I don't know him at all. And yeah, he took his side, and I was like, "Why did I tag him?" I don't even know. He showed up in the. Again,
I'm not even aware that he took my side. I just knew he untagged himself because I think, like me, had I been tagged in that group, I would have gone, what kind of stupid shit is this? And I just knew he untagged himself. I don't know his motivations. That was the only thing I was aware.
Okay, I see. I just caught that people untagged themselves. I didn't even know you could do that. So
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have tagged Vice Rhino. I respect Paul G. I think he's got integrity. I consider Paul G. and I friends. I think he considers me a friend, not sure. Okay, go ahead. You keep going.
So here's the thing. I'm not going to go through the whole list with you. I'm going to tell you this. I don't feel accountable to any of the list, including my friends. But I would give my friends consideration and I would hear them out and I would tell them if I agree or disagree. And if they said it was a line that was crossed too far and that it personally hurt them, I would take action out of love for those people. But when you imply this accountability, when you come and say, I'm going to tattle on you, I know you're not going to like that word, to what I perceive as an atheist authority, it gives me this very strange impression of, one, you think atheism matters to me. Atheism is the conclusion of something that matters to me, but I think atheism is one of the least interesting labels a person can have. The only reason it's interesting is because the default in the world is theism, it seems. And I do not give a fuck about who is an atheist and who is a quote unquote prominent atheist, which is the word you use that I just thought was wild. And I'll give you a chance to explain the word prominent in a moment. I care who is a skeptic and who is a humanist and about the mission. But I gotta tell you, if I'm on Twitter, I'm not giving a fuck about almost anything because Twitter is where all nuance goes to die. And when I'm on Twitter, I'm gonna see pearl clutching and I'm gonna go, I can make you clutch harder. And I still want to address that actual thing because I think we're gonna actually address that you do still fall for some purity culture bullshit, but we'll do that in a minute. Do you want to tell me who is it you think I am accountable or beholden to as a quote unquote atheist public figure?
So I'll explain that whole thing. Okay, first of all, that's been in the back of my mind as something to do for a long time, to go, look, here is a jury of your peers. My original interpretation.
Excuse me, Craig, those weren't my peers. A couple of them were, but most of that group was not my peers. Maybe some of them may have been. Some of them I know are not. Again, I'm not going to call them out by name, but I know that people on that list aren't humanists who aren't humanists. I think Shannon doesn't even like the humanist label, but she doesn't, as far as I know, disagree with humanism. But Shannon, I would actually consider a peer. And some of them are definitely not skeptics.
Right, but one of the things that you've been doing, and I sort of forgot this when I was on your show originally, you kind of been trending away from atheism and more towards activism and humanism. That's what you said to me back then.
No. Totally disagree. The only iteration of what you could say easily is mistaken for is the fact that I used to call myself Mr. Atheist and I used to do a show, Dear Mr. Atheist. But even then, the atheism was not important. Because atheism is an uninteresting label. It's like me having a special label for you because you don't believe in trolls, right? Imagine if I wanted to tell you your identity based on the fact that you don't believe in trolls. You think trolls, this thing that people have believed in the past, don't exist. And now I'm going to make a bunch of conclusions about you. Craig, I'll even say this. I think most atheists are shitty people. I'm not even kidding you, but it has nothing to do with their atheism. It's not because of atheism, because I also think most humans are shitty people. So apply this to, I think most Christians are shitty people. I think not being a shitty person is the exception, not the rule. So the word atheist is something that you should let go of completely in ever thinking that I would care that somebody else, that I would be held accountable because other atheists, there are fucking Nazi atheists. If they're prominent, should I care about their fucking opinions?
Okay, I got you. Okay, so how would I summarize that? Ineffective tactic because you don't consider most of those people even on your same page?
No, not at all. It literally, I wouldn't consider any list a good list because I don't feel beholden to anybody else. I would give friends consideration in private as friends. But as far as accountable and beholden, that there is some authority, some counsel you could gather of a group of people to censure or condemn me, you wouldn't be able to find a list. The people whom I have camaraderie with are the people that we can descriptively say we agree. Shannon and I are friends because of the things we bond over, not because of we decided to be friends and then we picked out on the list of, well, therefore you must bond with me over this or over this.
Okay, but if you were actually trying to properly adjudicate something, there is going to be, I'm not saying that there is going to be people you appeal to adjudicate between you and, right now we're trying to adjudicate between you and I. Correct?
Yes, and that's the only person I care about. Even the people watching, except for that there is a usefulness in seeing you and I have this conversation for people who can see how I resolve conflict, how you resolve conflict, and how hopefully people should resolve conflict. I hope we're modeling that, and that's the usefulness of this content. I told you at the beginning of the call, I'll ignore what the live chat thinks about you because they're automatically going to be on my side. So my exercise was, here's the group of people I could sick on you, and the popularity of what I'm saying would make it look like you're wrong, even though it wouldn't mean necessarily you're wrong. That's how I come to the table to resolve conflict with you. You came to the table to resolve conflict with me by going, look who I can sick on you. I can name these prominent atheists and they're going to put you in your place. Can you see why I don't like your way and I do like mine?
Yeah, okay, yeah, but I get how, okay, so because you said that, I get how you interpreted what I was doing.
I really hate how you keep saying this, how you interpret it, because I don't think I'm interpreting wrong, but if you're saying you're wrong, tell me why.
How I intended it, though.
Okay.
I told you how I intended it. You said there's a bunch of atheists who you don't think are good people. There's a bunch of atheists out there who are total idiot trolls. Okay, and I don't care what their opinion about anything at all.
Totally agree.
Give the flyingest. Okay.
Same.
The people who I tagged, I respect their opinions.
Okay, I respect their opinions too. I don't care whether or not they approve of my joke. I respect their opinions in many ways, but I don't care what they think of my jokes.
I don't care about the joke either. I interpreted your original action as bullying and antagonism just to bully and antagonize a Christian. That's why I was upset. Not because it's a dirty joke, not because I interpret it very differently, and I did not know you well enough.
Sure.
To interpret it any other way. Now,
so Craig, let me see if you agree with two statements then.
I took back my original interpretation. Didn't I say I take it back or whatever about?
So Craig, these two statements, would you agree with or disagree with? One, you agree that you would take back calling me a bully if you could.
Yeah, you didn't, as far as I can tell, you didn't intend to bully me at all. You were just...
I would like you to say not even just intend to bully you. I'd like you to say, as far as you can tell, I didn't bully you, because I don't think you can point to an example of me bullying, intentional or not.
Well, but you understand the power difference between someone with a 300,000 subscriber base and someone with 600.
No, because I project myself as the absolute idiot that I am and the absolute accessible, not a special, significant person, which is why I have 350,000 subscribers on YouTube, and yet my average engagement number of likes on a Twitter post lately has been a little higher, but it's often like 20 to 30. So it roughly matches a middle-aged wife on Twitter.
I got it. So how about this? If you had done it in the context of YouTube, then it could be bullying because of the power dynamics, but Twitter, you're just like everybody else.
No, so I would have, if I had done something I wouldn't have done, Yes, that I could have bullied you if I had bullied you. But any way I might have engaged on it on YouTube, I would have been sure to not do so. But also, I'm going to acknowledge that you came to a public platform. And it's a public platform versus a public platform. There is a type of behavior towards you that I absolutely would not have permitted. However, I don't think I would have identified that you were look, man, if that's all that makes it bullying, then that's a terrible example of bullying. Because if I see somebody saying some Nazi shit, I don't care if they only have 15 followers. I may put them on blast to humiliate them into submission. But maybe I'm saying I will bully Nazis.
Wait, because we're getting somewhere. But you have to charitably interpret from me.
I never did anything but reply to your thing, which again, you now know that. You didn't know it before. So I'm saying the fact of what you now know, I want you to acknowledge that I never bullied you. Not just that I didn't intend to, I actually didn't do it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, great.
But the only reason you didn't do it is because you and I
are
roughly the same. Well, but we're roughly the same power balance on Twitter, because a power dynamic makes a really big difference.
I would have used the power imbalance to my advantage on purpose if you were more extreme. When you say the only reason I didn't do it is because on Twitter we're basically equals. One, I don't know if that's true or not, but two, it's because it wouldn't warrant it. Anything you were saying, if instead of you saying what you just said was gross, you had said like all gays should die, I would totally take it to the bigger platform and I'd fuck you up.
Let me stop you though, because there's a part of this you're not getting. Okay.
I don't think I'm missing a thing.
If you thought I was extreme, you would have put me on blast.
Yes.
There are a lot of atheists who think a Christian is extreme by virtue of being a Christian, and have come at me with both guns blazing without knowing me from a hole in the wall, because they're extreme, because they hate the Christian. I did not know. I now know for a fact you aren't one of those type of people.
Thanks, Craig.
I did not know that then.
I agree that there are atheists who would have bullied you just fine. I agree that there are the times that people need to be responsible with their platforms. Any projection on me that I have some tremendous level of celebrity, I inherently reject. I am clearly the idiot that I am online.
You're the chair of atheism.
I'm the president. That's right. Thank you. Thank you for getting me elected president of atheism.
You're a chair compared to me. I'm like some
well, you're not an atheist. But here's the thing. I'd stop grouping atheists, Craig, because I don't feel camaraderie with other atheists. I feel camaraderie with other humanists and other skeptics. Okay. So the second statement I want you to agree with or disagree with is that you would take back trying to tag people to put me in my place if you could too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a stupid thing to do. It really didn't work out very well.
That's fine.
It's like, wow, this is not a good idea.
I accept both of those things, and I hold neither of them against you any longer. Here's the last one I want to stick with. I want you to tell me, is the joke God or insert Jesus? Is the joke God or Jesus Christ is a twink who loves cum in his tum tum? Is that joke offensive?
Made on your timeline to you? No, it's irrelevant. I wouldn't care at all.
To you, is that joke offensive?
No.
It's not an offensive joke to you?
The context. No, given the context I was perceiving. Yeah. I watched South Park, dude. South Park.
No. What if I told you what if I said I actually do believe that God is a twink who loves cum in his tum tum?
That's whatever. Dude, I'm not kidding when I say I wasn't raised Christian. This stuff doesn't. My wife. Okay. My wife is more typically a conservative Christian than I am by far. We live in California, which you understand is a blue state. So even her version of a conservative Christian is way different than like Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? You get that.
I get it.
Okay. So
Craig, so without going into more background. Yeah, sure. I just don't think it's necessary for where we're going. But go ahead.
Okay, so when we're watching South Park, sometimes they make outrageous, Jesus fight Santa was really funny. Did you ever see that one?
Yes.
And they're all like, Jesus, Jesus. It's hilarious. I think that's hilarious.
Cool.
My wife gets triggered, goes, I can't believe I like them. When she hears people say Jesus Christ, she goes, I can't believe he's using the word.
But we're not talking about our wife.
I can't even process reality that way.
I get it. It just doesn't hit you that way. And that's a relief to hear. I'm glad to hear. I'm very confused. So you thought my response was summoning a mob, right? And that's why you were bothered by that. And so I get it. So that's what you were reacting to. I know that now. And this is probably why, like, I forget, I'm going to invoke the word that people get mad because they say it means I'm hiding behind it. I forget that not everybody else is autistic like me and that they don't just say what they think is happening in a moment. So if you had been expecting me to be summoning a mob, the fact that you didn't say, why are you trying to summon a mob? It doesn't hit my brain as what I would do, but that's fine. So
I'm autistic. She insists that I'm autistic because I process things I can be really smart, but I could also be really dumb.
Well, let's not define autism as being really smart and really dumb. Let's do society's ableist expectations another day.
No, I get weird. Sometimes I process things very, very differently than other people in a way that makes me seem like I'm from another planet.
Weird relative to the neurotypical experience. I get what you're trying to say. I'm not going to jump all over it because I'm not going to try and hang you on an ableist petard today, but hoist you on an ableist petard. Let's just stick back to, why was the original joke offensive then? Why was the joke where the person said you are basically trying to suck God's dick by tweeting these apologetics, that's what you're trying to do, where it's God is the man standing up and he's about to get blown and the blowjob is the word and then the fellator is you. What's offensive about that?
Nothing. Same principle. I was talking to someone about the problem of evil. If he had something to say about the problem of evil, then you tag me and say, you're wrong about the problem of evil because XYZ PDQ. You tag me. If he had tagged me with anything that's like taunting or trying to humiliate or trying to antagonize, that's him being a total dick. Now,
but why disgusting freak? Why did that joke make him a disgusting freak? Was the word you used?
Because it was, contextually, it was like, here, take Jesus in your mouth. He was literally trying to humiliate me rather than argue the case.
I don't think so. I think he was trying to meme. I genuinely think, here's the thing I think about you, Craig, that I think you got to work on.
I didn't read the meme, Jimmy. I didn't even try to understand the meme.
Sure.
I didn't look at, I just went, you're a disgusting freak. I say things like that.
I think you need to take a second more often and go, okay, what does this mean? And what is the real intention here? Because I think that you are volatile and reactive in a way that a lot of people are. I'm not faulting you as like an imperfect human. I'm imperfect as fuck. So I'm just going to tell you what I think your problem is, Craig. I know that's how it's coming off as, but unfortunately I've seen you now interact with a few, and I went back and I looked at some of your feed. I think you are highly reactive in a way that Twitter makes money off of because that's who their main audience is. I think that it would benefit you in a lot of these cases to go, all right, let me take a second and recognize what's happening here. And if somebody puts a meme that's a porny meme, that it's supposed to be you trying to take the word of God like a dick in your mouth, the idea of retweeting that with genuine offense. Have you ever, I'm not saying the way that I do feeds is the right way, but do you ever know, did you go back and look through my feed and see all the times that like people insulted me and I retweeted them and I just agreed with them? Because that's what takes their power away. Not going, oh my God, how fucking dare you?
I have your tweet on my list, so I see your original tweets.
Yeah.
But I've never seen your interactions.
Do you have my Twitter in front of you right now?
I could probably call it up.
Yeah,
Let me get
pull it
up.
Pull it up and tell me what you see my banner image is.
Let me see. Hold on. Ow. All right.
I'm excited for this. I hope that this teaches you a little bit about me, because I want you to tell me what is my banner image.
Producer.
No.
Anybody like Jimmy Stone?
Yeah, that is a comment that I left the username on from YouTube.
That's funny.
Thank you. It's a person literally. Let me explain it for the audience.
To advertise that, that's funny of you to post that.
Thank you.
And be like, does it Shannon does that a lot too, where someone makes some outlandish insult. The one that I thought was hilarious was somebody called her a green-haired Antifa.
Yeah, Shannon's one of the funniest people I know. It doesn't. She's hilarious, and this is why I like her. Let me explain for the audience. My current process is if somebody gets a really funny or a really good.
That's actually really funny.
Thank you. If someone gets a really good dig on me in the comments on a YouTube video, I screenshot it, I crop it, and I make it the banner for me on Twitter. Now people are going to try to do it on purpose, but I don't. This is what I'm trying to explain to you, man, is if you want to take the power away from people and make people feel foolish, you should show them. Because I'm shocked to find out you're not offended by the meme. I'm shocked to find out you're not offended by come and tum. And the reason why I'm shocked is not only have I had that interaction with you, if you go look at my feed today, you'll see all of the Christians threatening to kill me today because of the come tum thing.
No, I get that. I get that a lot of Christians are genuinely shocked.
Sure.
It's really Jimmy. Okay, let me.
It's stupid of them to be. You want to take the power away? Take their ability to offend you away. Sure, go ahead, Craig.
Okay, because this I think you'll get this. My wife and I both like Dr. Dre. Okay, originally she didn't. I played Still DRE for her, and she's like, "What about all the curses?" I was raised secular. I don't even hear that. I'm like, "What curses? What, there are curses?"
Yeah, right.
The first time I went
you also sound like you're from the Northeast, like me, which probably doesn't help.
Yeah, I'm from New York.
I'm from Levittown, baby.
From where?
Levittown, Long Island.
What? Oh, cool. Yeah, no, right.
My family is where I'm from is debatable, but that's where my culture all comes from, I think.
Right. So I didn't even really know a conservative Christian in high school. There was no Republicans. I didn't know any conservative Christians until I was 20 and in college. Then I met one who I kind of got a kick out of because he was like a goofy. I would come home drunk at 3 o'clock on the Friday night, and he'd try to witness.
Craig, you're worse at tangents than I am.
What's that?
You're worse than I am with tangents, and I'm pretty bad. Let's bring it back in. Bring it back into the point.
Oh, okay. Oh, the point is,
yeah.
I don't process that out the way other Christians do. I don't even notice it.
Sure.
When Easter comes around and they make all these blasphemous jokes to trigger the Christians, I don't even notice that stuff. It doesn't register with me. Oh yeah, I guess I should be offended as a Christian. I don't think that way. I'm really big on, and this is weird with me on Twitter because in real life, nobody ever squares off against me ever. Nobody ever tries to humiliate me ever. So I'm really can be a little bit, I guess it's a Twitter thing. I am a little bit reactive on Twitter, but even if you go back, I very rarely get into Twitter dramas. Every once in a while,
sure.
I did this last few days from Super Bowl Sunday. But if you go back over my history, there's only one guy, Dr. Matthew Hunt. That's the only guy I ever usually feud with on Twitter, and he always starts it. So
Craig, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Keep it in. The only reason I'm trying to rush you along now is we're 47 minutes into it, so I don't got.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
We don't got to list off the feuds.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think you sort of get it. I'm not.
I do.
I don't get triggered the way other Christians do. I get triggered by people getting in my face. That's what triggers me. That's the trigger. Craig. It's not the meme.
Right. And Craig, here's I'm sorry that I'm going to. You've mentioned that you're a boomer. I'm a spry 32-year-old. So I'm sorry for how it's going to look when I say I want to give you one more piece of advice. But this is the advice I want to give everybody. Twitter's not real life. Don't treat it like it is. It is an unnuanced bunch of anonymous fuck faces, and both sides of every issue are represented by the worst parts of them. I'm a leftist, and I'm tired of mobs of fucking TikTok 15-year-olds showing up to defend me, because I'm like, these people haven't even developed the empathy part of their brain. They are biologically still sociopaths for the next few years. That's who's showing up to be the loudest on my side. Fuck that. So fuck Twitter. Twitter's not real life. Don't treat it like it's real life anymore. And this is something I had to learn, by the way. I'm not telling you something. I learned this because I'm a public figure, and I got piled on for the most outrageous, stupid bullshit in the past. And then I found out if I just turned off my phone and went and lived real life, none of it hits you. Not a single one of these people show up to say it to your fucking face because they're cowards.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. And normally I do that.
Cool.
I got a little bit more wrapped into Twitter since Super Bowl Sunday, because Twitter also sometimes, if you stay on it too long, you tend to stay on it too long and you get more into these dramas than you intend.
Sure.
So like that little feud that you and I got into, I was on there for like 5 hours talking to a whole bunch of people. I was like, God, I got to get out of here. It's starting to drive me crazy. Like, who cares about this stupid little fight?
Yeah, Craig, when I find myself getting upset, I'm not even kidding. I turn off my phone and I go sand wood. That's not a joke. I go sand things because I'm a woodworker. When I'm getting pissed off, and it literally takes like 5 minutes of sanding before you know who humiliates me is myself. It'll be like 5 minutes of sanding and I'll go, holy crap. I let any of that bother me. It's not real life. It isn't. And so, yeah, I'm glad we know each other now. I'm glad we're friends. You're in my DMs. I'm in yours now.
Fun, actually.
What's that?
I thought this was really fun.
Yeah,
I thought this was fun, actually. Yeah, I think you actually have a side that I find very, very amiable and entertaining.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. But just so you know, I'm probably going to make more dick jokes in replies sometimes. I just want you to expect it.
Fine. Yeah, but I'll understand it's coming from a playful, impish spirit, not a like.
I'm just a silly boy.
Spirit. Yeah,
I'm a silly boy. I don't take myself seriously. I think I'm an idiot. The fact that I can gather how many people are watching right now, the fact that 909 people are watching right now, I think is insane. I think there's something wrong with all of them that they find me compelling, and yet I love them to pieces, and I would be crushed if they left. So Craig, thank you for calling. I'm going to give you a wrap up. A minute to wrap up and stuff. I do want to hit. I've got like 5 or 6 other lines waiting right now.
Yeah, no, we've been on for an hour, I think.
Sure have.
Okay, so my wrap up is we're good.
Cool.
I found this really fun. I thought this was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. You didn't strike me as particularly hostile or, I totally heard what you're saying. I think there's at least a side of you that's fun and entertaining, and probably a really good show because of that. Because there's some similarities between you and I, believe it or not. If you listen to my videos, I have an impish, I have a pretty good sense of humor. A lot of people think I'm funny, and I think I have a great sense of humor, and my wife does. So I'm cool with
I don't want to promise you I'm going to watch your videos, and it's not a thing to do with you. It's that the only videos I watch are about spiders and woodworking on YouTube. I don't watch I legitimately don't watch my atheist friends' content at all. I don't watch. I'm not doing atheist YouTube, theist YouTube, any of it.
I do not make videos about spiders and
woodworking. Woodworking.
No,
and Jesus being a carpenter doesn't get me there. Call back another time, Craig, and let's talk about why you believe in God, though. Not today.
Okay, cool.
Another day. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So rather than rant for 40 minutes or whatever it usually is on an episode of Cus I Wanna, I wanted to do a rant-like call for the first hour, realistically. But let's just keep jumping into calls. I do have some more stuff I want to get into. I might go pretty late today. We'll see how I feel. I currently have a pain patch on my shoulder. I've got a deltoid injury, so if y'all see me randomly wincing at different times, it's my delts. It's my good old delts. But let's get some more people on. I should have, during that call, been preparing my chirons on the side, and I didn't. But I've got Daniel ready. So Daniel in California, an atheist who wants advice about talking to his sister. Daniel, you are on the line.
Wow, I'm so nervous. This is my first time on any kind of talk show. Please forgive me if anything kind of, sounds weird. I'm in my room, so that's why there's a small echo.
Sure. Are you are you on speakerphone or anything, or are you just talking directly into your device?
I'm talking. I'm kind of on speaker. I'm talking through my computer. So
okay, gotcha.
That's all.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So I was kind of having, I was in the car with my family. They all believe in different stuff, and my sister, she's young, she's 12, and we're kind of going and we're talking. We're bringing up religion, and basically she's like, no, we can't talk about this. You can't, because everyone believes in like different things, and that's why we can't discuss it. So I don't really have like a good rebuttal. I'm still relatively young. I'm 19. So I just want to know how to approach that.
So the specific question that she has was what again? Will you phrase it again for me?
Well, it wasn't a specific question. She basically was, I don't want to talk about this. I don't think people should talk about it. And I want to have an objection.
Don't object. Ask questions. That's my advice to you. First of all, right now she's 12. There are parts of her brain that don't know to not just question what she's been told. And she won't develop that independence of thought for a few more years. And don't condescend to people for that, because it makes you look like an asshole. But legitimately, her mind is not yet at a place where it even is advantageous biologically. The reason why we likely evolved this non-questioning of our elders that religion relies on was to keep us alive. Don't go in the bush, there's a tiger. Don't touch the fire, it'll burn you. The inherent, I believe my parents thing. And she's not past that. So don't object, ask questions. And so specifically, the line of questioning, by the way, this is true of people whose brains have developed that complexity as well. I would still ask questions, is ask them why we shouldn't talk about the issue. And specifically questions about, if we're not going to talk about the issue, what should people who feel like this issue is getting between them and their rights doing? So, for example, right now, if we don't talk about whether or not Christianity is true, what should people who believe abortion is their right that are losing their abortion rights do when their current opposition is Christian? What should people who are queer, who believe they are losing their rights? Trans people are demonstrably losing their rights, and their main barrier is Christianity. And so if we shouldn't talk about whether it's true or not, even though it is going to influence the way you vote against people and their rights, what should happen? Should those people accept not talking about it? Should those people just go, well, most people agree I don't deserve these rights, so I shouldn't get those rights? Or is it actually important we have these conversations? But I'll tell you what Matt would probably have told you. The question Matt would have probably told you to ask, which is also a good one. Is it important to you whether or not your beliefs are true? And if her answer is yes, then the question is, how do you know the thing you believe is true if you don't challenge it? And that's probably the better way to start than my bullshit that I would go on, because I'd be on 9 tangents right away.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. That's going to be all. And for the last caller, that's why I don't use Twitter, and I'm so happy I don't, and I hope I won't in the future. That's all. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, Daniel. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, likewise.
Daniel has a cadence in it. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. The tone of voice of it's the tone of voice that whenever I come across it, it's one I find very like comforting, and just like I like talking to people who have that tone of voice because I feel very inherently cared for. There's also faces that are this way, where like a person can have a specific face, and I just go, I don't know why, but I trust you. I just do. I automatically, tell me where we're going. Off to war, I shall follow you. My face is getting so flushed right now. I don't know what's going on and why I'm looking very red today. And there's this weird thing going on my neck that's been, man, I just got to see. Somebody sent me about this thing on my face that I've been bringing up, that it goes away and it comes back. And they sent me a condition, and they were like, you should ask if you have this. And it was called like rosacea. It's ROC something. I don't think it was rosacea. Is that what it was though? Yeah, maybe it was that. Rosacea. And I was like, fuck, it looks exactly like that thing. Anyway, my face gets red. Boy, is my face red. Let me line up another call here, get the Chiron prepared. We've got more theists on the line, ready to discuss whether or not God exists and convert me to Christianity, I hope. Let's see. Well, I don't know what type of theism Greg is calling in about. Greg from British Columbia, you are on the line. Oh, sorry. 1 second, Greg. It like popped in and popped out. There you go. Greg, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, Greg. So it says here that you are a theist, but that you want to call in and discuss simulation theory, which is not a theory I accept or deny.
Oh. Okay.
I'm agnostic to it, but is it that you accept that your theism is that you believe in simulation theory?
like, I think simulation theory is like a big sort of argument towards why I'm a theist. I think that simulation theory leans strongly towards a designer.
I mean, simulation theory doesn't just lead toward toward a designer; it necessitates one, right? I would say that there's definitely a designer.
I've talked to people about that, and you can still do like the whole, abiogenesis by accident, natural selection might have done the simulation too, right? But yeah, to me, it definitely leans towards the design.
Right. Even if the only thing they actually designed was the Big Bang, you'd still have a responsible party. I just don't accept that. I don't accept simulation theory. I think simulation theory becomes, so here's the thing about simulation theory. If I accepted it, I would then say whoever designed us, I don't have a reason to believe they didn't come about of material or natural means, because if we create simulations in the future, we will also have come about of material and natural means. And then if they are a simulation, if we're 100 simulations in, I would still have a question about base reality. But I'll tell you why I don't believe in simulation theory, but I don't deny that it's possible. We have yet to actually establish that it is possible to design a computer capable of literally simulating a universe anywhere near to our own complexity. Our simulations are extremely limited, and on the scale of a universe are a percent of a percent of a percent of a percent of an infinite number of adding decimals adding percentages.
It would take like a god amount of intelligence to figure it out.
Well,
that's
a funny joke.
The materialism side of what you're talking about is so when we think of simulations, let's take a video game, right? Mm-hmm. And in video games, they have completely different physics, right? Like you can fly or triple jump or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And so when we try to apply like the physics of this world to cause and effect must be in this other, realm, that created our simulation. I don't think that's really legitimate, right?
But it would be crazy to then also say, therefore, I believe it isn't restricted, because we haven't had either demonstrated to us as possible. To say, I can't say that the universe that designed us would have the same rules and laws. You also can't say they wouldn't. There's no reason to expect it. But Greg, here's my question.
I mean, for all demonstrable evidence, right? Like all the simulations that have ever been made do have different physics, right? So,
Greg, do you agree that, I wouldn't call video games all simulations. First of all, when we're talking about simulating a universe, a video game actually isn't really a simulation. It's this is a program which does this thing. Like it's an input-output only thing. Maybe the universe is too, but that also has to be demonstrated.
Yeah.
Greg, do you agree with my reasoning that I don't believe in the Christian God? First of all, because the Christian God has never been demonstrated to be possible.
Oh, because it's never been demonstrated to be possible.
That's my first, most basic reason why I reject the Christian God.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure exactly what you mean by it, because it's such a broad statement.
It literally doesn't need to be. I can't change it for you. I don't know what to tell you. The Christian God has never been demonstrated to even be possible. So I reject the claim on that basis that the Christian God exists. I do not say the Christian God does not exist, but based on the fact that it's never been demonstrated to be possible, I reject any claim that it does exist. Do you get that?
Right. So that would be rejecting the history of Jesus Christ, or like others would say, well, the evidence is all around us, right? It's like design is evidence and things
all of that. Yeah. All I need is whether you agree.
Is that what you're saying?
No, because it's far more. You said it's too broad, and then I'm saying you're not going broad enough. Simply, there is no version of the Christian God that has ever been demonstrated to be possible at all.
I believe a lot of things about Jesus Christ, so I would disagree with you.
What thing about Jesus Christ was demonstrated that the God of Christianity is possible? Because Jesus existing is a totally unrelated thing to this. Whether or not Jesus was resurrected And if that is true, that you could say is is evidentiary in the column of the possibility, though actually it's still somewhat, it's kind of abstract. It almost doesn't, but I'll give it that it does. So what specifically about Jesus that you believe makes the God? And by the way, I'm not even telling you that you have to agree with me and be an atheist or reject I'm saying, do you understand when I say, and that that it is a rational statement, that it is a logical thing to base my atheism on, specific to, we'll say, the Christian God. The Christian God has not been demonstrated to be possible, and I therefore reject any claim that it exists.
Yeah, I think, like basing any sort of belief in history off of demonstrable evidence is leaves you with a very short amount of history that you're willing to believe in, right? So, but yeah, sure. It hasn't been recorded and demonstrated to you. And
you understand I'm just asking if you understand the rationality and the logic of the position. If you haven't demonstrated that this was possible, then I don't accept your claim that it's true.
No, but I do think it's definitely possible, especially through
I didn't ask whether you think it's possible. American. Has it been demonstrated that the God of Christianity is possible? Not could it be possible? I'm not saying the God of Christianity is impossible. I'm saying, has it ever been demonstrated that do you need me to define this Christian God for you more? Why is it the question can't be answered?
I think I am answering it.
It's not. You're not at all.
Yeah. People that I guess talk about how demonstratably a working theory for the beginning of the universe is simulation theory, right? According to, say, Scientific American or whatever.
Greg, why are we not answering my question? Has anybody ever demonstrated the Christian God to be possible? Not have they demonstrated it is real, not have they demonstrated is it impossible? Has anyone ever demonstrated that the Christian God is possible? A possible explanation?
Yes.
No. When? Go ahead. Tell me when.
I think we've been through this already with whether it's simulation theory or Jesus Christ, if you believe what he said, or just okay,
Craig, what was the demonstration that a single entity may be capable? Tell me about the demonstration of a single entity capable of creating an entire universe by speaking a word.
Okay. So that's what you mean. Okay.
I mean,
I wouldn't say no. There's no evidence.
Fine. Show me the demonstration of resurrection, going to true death. We'll go with something more recent and something more you might be able to. Becoming truly dead. True death, not you were dead, but dead. Like we're talking The Princess Bride. And then 3 days, which is realistically an hour and a half later, based on what the 3 days actually was, the day, a night, and a day. That 3 days later, you could raise from the dead, not only healed of your wounds, but with now a perfect body. What is the demonstration when has the demonstration of any resurrection been possible? Been done?
Okay, so you want me to say that there's no demonstrable evidence of all the miracles that have been claimed to happen?
It's not about what I want you to say. The only thing I want you to say is whether or not it's true or not.
If there's a God that is possible, right? If it's just possibility,
I've never said
so many theories and so many things about that can make God possible.
I think you were fundamentally not listening.
Demonstrable evidence of a miracle, then tell me.
Greg,
just be clear with your words.
Greg, I have been extremely clear with the words. You are not grasping the questions or the exercise. I've been extremely clear, Greg. Greg, the reason why I'm asking you, do you understand that if you can't show something to be possible, it doesn't make it impossible? Do you understand that?
Yeah, of course.
And so have I ever even implied during this call, now that I've shown you I also understand that just because I say a God hasn't been shown to be possible, it doesn't make him impossible. Do you understand that?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Do you understand that the basis of skepticism is not believing things until you have adequate reason to believe them? Yes or no?
I mean, yeah, but adequate can be like is very subjective to each individual, right?
Not generally to skepticism, but I understand your idea of how I implement my standard of adequacy could be subjectively tainted. However, it wouldn't actually be subjective. I could be. I personally could be wrong.
Like rationality, right? Like we go back to.
We apply science, rules, and logic. But Greg, let's. We don't need to go off on the tail end of this. Therefore, if I am claiming to be a skeptical person, would I accept that anything is true? That not that I therefore accept false. As a skeptical person, would I accept that anything is true if that thing hasn't ever even been demonstrated to be possible?
I guess like by principle, no, but I mean, we're all very hypocritical, right?
Okay,
like,
what's a belief you think that I believe in, that I accept is true, that I do not know is possible, or that I cannot find adequate justification for it being possible?
I mean, I guess we could stick with like the common abiogenesis argument, right?
Why would that be? Are you saying that I have not seen a demonstration of abiogenesis being possible? Because you're wrong.
Oh, you've seen it?
Did I see it with my own eyes? No. Have I read the research? Yes. And have I read through the experiments they've done to actually do it? Yes. Are you suggesting we don't have adequate reason to believe in an AO?
It's never.
Oh, Greg, fuck you. Greg, we're getting to fuck you. Theory. Greg, the idea that there isn't adequate evidence the same way as abiogenesis, Greg, you are a joke of a person. I'm going to give you another chance to try and operate in this with honesty. But the idea that accepting a scientific principle with peer review, if I wasn't there in the lab to do it with me, despite the fact that I also leave open the possibility of that conclusion to be adapted and changed as better information comes in, because I operate as a skeptic and not an intellectual fraud who decides first what I want to believe in and then only accepts that which confirms it. And then I don't put things that I do believe in through the same process as things that I don't want to believe in. That way I can more easily accept, well, this points to simulation and this points to simulation theory, and these things which I'm very shallowly accepting and going, oh, but did you see it in person in your first? You sound like a Christian, despite the fact that you're trying to have a higher intellectual position.
That's what you were doing to me about the possibility
of God. If the possibility of God had 30% of the adequate evidence for the possibility of an abiogenesis event, fuck you. If you're just gonna laugh and act like this is a joke, then fuck you. Go fuck off. Right off into a volcano, motherfucker. You'll be fine because you'll have a cheat code for your simulation theory. You're so fucking full of shit, Greg. You should be utterly embarrassed that you would call in and suggest that the premise of God hasn't been shown to be possible is anywhere near supported to the premise abiogenesis hasn't been shown to be possible. Not only has it been shown to be possible, it's been shown to be likely. Literally, the most abundant things that life is made of, the things that life is made of are the most abundant things in the fucking universe. And you want to sit here and go, I have this higher understanding because I believe in this simulation theory, which no one has ever demonstrated to be possible. I leave it open as a very interesting thing, and maybe even go, it seems like we'll probably get there. And by the way, the day that we can simulate a universe as complex as ours, the odds of us being in base reality go way the fuck down. But no one's demonstrated that as possible. There are certain principles of entropy that actually suggest it might not be possible, but maybe it is. And maybe we'll get there, and that would be incredible if we do. The fact that you want to sit here and laugh as what you are logically concluding, and that's a joke, that the word logically there doing a tremendous amount of weightlifting for you. That you want to just laugh there and joke about you saying God hasn't been demonstrated to be possible is the same as me saying abiogenesis isn't demonstrated to be possible. What a fucking embarrassing. Greg, you should be humiliated. That should embarrass the fuck out of you the way that I should be embarrassed that I used to believe that underwear could have magical properties back when I was a fucking Mormon. But your position's actually more embarrassing. Jesus Christ, Greg. Get a fucking grip. Let me take his name off the thing. Holy fucking shit. That was the wrong one because that was Daniel's line from before. I don't know how to resolve people who are willing to call in and try and equivocate the very things that they are relying upon, scientific demonstration, to make their call, to watch the show, to record their video, to play the video later, just to connect us in general. The results of science, and then suggest that the results of that same science and evolutionary biology, which isn't actually a part of abiogenesis, but abiogenesis, there are things that are indicated about abiogenesis from what we understand of evolutionary biology, to suggest that you are anywhere on the same footings. Jesus Christ, Greg, my goodness. Get your cheat code for your simulation and jump in a volcano. You'll survive. You'll survive. Oh, hilarious. Sorry, I'm oh, wow. Really, really stupid people. Sorry, I'm getting death threats a lot on Twitter today because some of the less kind broadcasters than Craig have been retweeting out my come tum thing. It's just fun. Anyway, I'll meet you at the playground. Let's do another theist. Emmanuel, I can tell you we're not going to do a long call, but I'll hear you out. Emmanuel from Texas, you're on the line.
Hey, Jimmy.
How you been?
I was actually preparing for a debate, and like I subscribe to your channel, and it says that call in to convert me to Christianity, and I was like, what's more important than that? You know, it's like I was like, Jesus died for that. So
sure. What do you? So let me tell you what.
Ask you a couple of questions.
Probably not going to do that. I'm going to tell you what it would take to convert me to Christianity. You would need to prove in ways that do not defy logic, ways that do not defy skepticism, that we'll just start with the basics of Christianity as first possible and then did happen. And then you would need to, even from there, if you got me there, I don't think you can get me to deism, let alone Christianity. So what proof of Christianity would you like to discuss?
Yeah. So I would say that just like look at society and imagine how could we solve all the evils that is happening around us, right?
Okay, I've got several suggestions.
You take the... Okay, I'm sorry.
Emmanuel, you just said, how could we solve all of the evils of society? This is actually problems with AI in the future. As an individual question, it has many answers. You know one way we could get rid of all of the evil of society? Nuke the world and get rid of all of society. And then there would be no evil society. Is that a good option?
No.
But I imagined it. Now I believe in it.
No, Jimmy. Here's the thing. So you just take forget the Christians, forget the doctrines, just take the words of Jesus and imagine if you apply each and everything that Jesus said.
It would not improve the world. In fact, there's some really gross things that Jesus said, basically about mandated forgiveness. And then also ways in which you can obtain forgiveness. I'm telling you right now, the whole concept of you must forgive can put people in danger. And does put people in danger. It often keeps them in cycles that repeats with their abusers. The fact that a person who is an abuser can go get absolution of their abuse, not from their victim, but from a third party who says, now that we've let you off the hook, you should let that all go. The words of Jesus, there are some good things you can extrapolate out them. They're better if you now take the words of Jesus and try to filter them through something like humanism and make them sound more humanistic. They, at their core, aren't, first of all, revolutionary. He didn't come up with them. He was repeating some of the same philosophies as other street preachers around him, if he existed at all. And two, where was I going with that? The first thing was, they're also not all good. There are plenty of shitty things in there, and the mandated forgiveness one is way up there. In fact, not only is it way up there, it's the thing churches use to continue to perpetuate abuse on people and to continue to say, don't get the police involved when your child has been molested. Let's solve this here. And remember, sure, molesting your child was wrong, but you not forgiving is also wrong. So far you've given terrible examples, because I would debate that it's the, in fact, extrapolation and interpretation of Jesus's words that have led to tremendous evil and tremendous apologetics, not just for the religion and whether it's true, but in fact, fucking abuse. So shall we go on to the next proof you had, or do you want to stick to this one?
Yeah. Can I just respond to that?
Sure.
Can I just one time?
Sure.
Okay, so
why is it wrong is what you can,
right?
You have to tell me why what I said is wrong specifically. If you're going to respond to it, you have to tell me what I said was wrong.
What I think is, you said Jesus, saying that you have to forgive everyone could lead to people being abused, you said, right?
No,
but
I said Jesus teaching that did lead to people being abused. I'm saying Jesus is a proponent of forgiving abusers, even if it holds you in your cycle. That Jesus supports things that keeps people in abusive cycles.
Yeah, but you have to look at where people are coming from, because
no, I don't. I absolutely do not. You said that if we just applied the words of Jesus, it would fix the world, I believe was your conclusion. And by the way, still would not make Christianity or God true. Did you know that? Even if a philosopher comes along and does teach a good philosophy, if I come along and I actually teach the philosophy, and by the way, I think secular humanism would solve most of society's ails. But if I also tell you secular humanism will solve most of society's ails, maybe all of them, but I wouldn't be so arrogant to claim that. I'm pretty great, but not that great. Secular humanism will solve most of society's ails. It's as far as how we treat each other, and then even influence political systems and probably take us to some sort of, I would assume, socialism. But secular humanism solves its ails. And by the way, my Father is the creator of the universe. I can heal the blind and all of this. Let's say secular humanism solving society's ails is proven to be true. Does that actually make me the Son of God and the healer of blind people?
No, it doesn't.
Correct. So
no,
even if you prove that Jesus's philosophy was true, does that make Christianity true?
No, I'm not.
Correct.
I'm not saying it makes it true.
Correct.
But you have to take account of, what's like the central claim of Christianity, right? So when you look at Christianity, the central claim of Christianity is Jesus has resurrected from the grave.
Yep, and right? We have zero good. Are you bringing me a proof? Are you bringing me a proof that Jesus resurrected from the grave?
What I'm saying is whether or not the Bible is true or not doesn't matter if Jesus actually rose from the dead.
Correct. Actually, you know what else is crazy though, Emmanuel? If Jesus actually rose from the dead, does that make him the Son of God?
Of course.
No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Emmanuel, we already ran through it. Just because somebody does something doesn't mean the reason it happened is the reason they said it was. Otherwise, everybody who's ever risen from the dead, like Chris Angel, like David Blaine and the like, if they say it's magic, and I see with my own eyes them raised from the dead, and they say their explanation is magic, their explanation isn't true because they said that's how they did it. Jesus' explanation of how he resurrected from the dead isn't true unless you demonstrate how he resurrected from the dead being because of God. If you could make every physical event in the Bible, you could prove every single one of them is true, and it still would not prove the claim of how they happened. It would only prove that they happened. This is fundamentally, you're already so far from skepticism that you don't understand this principle which is sort of beyond thee. Now, I'm not saying if all the miracles lined up and you proved them all true, I wouldn't go, this is conspicuous. Let's start considering the God claim. But it actually does not prove the God claim at all, Emmanuel.
Okay. I failed on that. Let me give you another example where Christianity could be true. So
Christianity being true isn't if a specific event is true. So go ahead. Don't give me just a specific event that Christianity claims. Give me how Christianity is true.
Okay. How do you deal with guilt?
How do I deal with guilt?
Yeah, like you
usually
sin,
I address it and I seek the person whom I feel like I have slighted, and I try to talk it out with them.
Do you sin? But do you sin?
I don't believe in the concept of sin. Do I do immoral things? Sometimes, and when I recognize that I've done something immoral, I try to rectify
For example, do you look at a woman with lust?
I don't believe that's a sin.
Okay, but do you do that?
It's none of your business, but I don't believe that's a sin. But just check my Twitter feed, clearly.
Yeah, but you know, it's like
you don't get to hold me accountable to looking at a woman with lust as a sin until you demonstrate what a sin is and that I have in fact committed a sin and that it is a real concept not arbitrarily placed by religious leaders. You need to show me why it is wrong to look at a woman lustfully, not declare it wrong.
The reason is...
What? Give me the reason.
The reason is, you know, we are all, created in the image of God.
No,
so
I reject what you just said. You're wrong.
But like, okay, do you believe in racism?
Yes, obviously. The idea that somebody can have inherent prejudicial, inherent not meaning that they were born with it, but that they may react in a prejudicial and bigoted way entirely upon the basis of a person's race and not anything to do with an actual character that they've evaluated is clearly a quality of humans.
Do you think it's wrong?
Yes.
Okay. From the atheism perspective, tell me how it's wrong.
It's not wrong from the atheism perspective. Do you want to know why it's wrong from my perspective?
Because
atheism does not make a... No, I didn't. Atheism doesn't make a single moral claim. Emmanuel, I've not proved a thing about you. Name one moral claim that atheism makes.
For example, last time when I called you in, you said owning people as property.
That's not a claim of atheism. An atheist saying something does not make it a property of atheism. What's a hobby you have? Give me one hobby you have.
I like to I like to be in social media.
Okay, so you're a social media hobbyist. What's your favorite ice cream?
Movie.
Oh, movies. You like to see movies. You're a movie goer. What's your favorite flavor ice cream?
Yes. Vanilla.
Do all moviegoers have vanilla as their favorite ice cream?
No,
because being a moviegoer does not mean a thing about what flavor ice cream you like. Being an atheist does not mean a thing about that which you find moral. Atheism is a single rejection of a single claim. I believe that owning people is wrong, and I believe that racism is wrong because I am a secular humanist. It has nothing to do with being an atheist. There are other humanists who are non-secular who agree on the basis of humanism. And now if you want to argue over whether or not humanism is a better standard for people than Christianity, we can talk about that. But you said that atheism believes owning slaves is wrong. You are wrong. Atheism doesn't have a belief. It makes zero moral claims.
So there is no such thing as moral and immoral actions according to atheism. Right?
There is no consideration. It's like saying, according to being a moviegoer, Emmanuel, as a moviegoer, is slavery wrong? Not as a Christian, as a moviegoer. There's no answer to that question because being a moviegoer, do you think there are moviegoers who believe that slavery is right?
Maybe.
There are people who like slavery. Yes, there are, because there is still slavery in the world and they still go to movies. Do you think there are people, do you think there are moviegoers who think slavery is wrong?
Yes, there are.
So does being a moviegoer establish whether or not slavery is right or wrong in your eyes? Not?
No, it
exactly.
doesn't,
and being an atheist also doesn't establish whether or not being a moviegoer, whether or not being whether or not slavery is right or wrong. Atheism also doesn't care if you're a moviegoer. But atheists, individuals, may have a morality which comments on that. But it is not a quality of atheism.
But here's why atheism is kind of scary, because here
I already know you're wrong. Give me a quality of atheism that is scary.
Like, for example, you just said committing lust is a normal thing.
It's not an atheist position.
Lust is basically nothing. If there's no God, there's no law, right? There's no law against lust.
Of course,
right?
there are not against lust, but there are laws. You understand laws are things humans come up with, right?
But you do understand that the fall of man happened with lust, right?
No,
so
I don't, because I don't understand that the fall of man has ever been demonstrated to have happened. There is no demonstration. If you want to ask me if I understand that there is a story within which sin, lust of sin happens.
The Christian story.
Okay, I understand that you believe the fall of man was contingent on lust. I reject it, and not only do I reject it, I tell you that that is not a thing that happened in history. That did not happen.
Yeah. I'm just taking account in Genesis. So in Genesis,
that's
God
very
made
stupid.
People in his human, right? Humans are made in the image of God, right? So
not right. Stop saying right. Stop saying correct. No, humans are not made in the image of God, because there has been no God demonstrated. And furthermore, any quality of a God, Mormons are the only ones who have a physical man God that I know of. There are actually polytheistic ones that do too. But in the image of God, within Christianity, God is basically an ethereal concept with consciousness and doesn't have regular form, and yet y'all call him he, him, and then get mad when trans people want you to use their pronouns. Meanwhile, you'll give it to basically a super cloud, but not a trans man. It's fucking wild. But anyway, we are not right.
I don't get mad when people using their pronouns, by the way.
That's fine. It is not right to say, when you said man is made in the image of God, right? I'm saying wrong.
No, I'm saying according to the story.
You're trying to convert me. So don't tell me what the story says. Tell me why the story is true.
But I have to give you a basis.
No, you don't.
You have to start from
You genuinely do not. The foundation you need to give me is why it's true. You do not need to tell me elements of the story. You do not need to tell me in the story, it says God made man in his image. You need to tell me why God exists, or that the story is true, independent of the claims the story makes.
Okay, so just like look around you, everything is really great. And there are things that you can't comprehend, right? You know, there are a lot of things that are
you giving me the look at the trees argument, Emmanuel?
No, I'm not saying the trees argument. What I'm saying is the idea that there's a God is very evidential. That's what I'm saying.
No, it isn't. I know far more about science. Oh, sorry, I don't have your name tag up. I know much more about science than you do, clearly. I know much about a lot. And you know what else I know? I know how much, not precisely the number, but I have a good estimation of how much I don't know. And despite that, the fact that there are so many things beyond my understanding, beyond my comprehension, I don't say, therefore, it makes sense to put a God there, because it doesn't. You do not start with a conclusion. A conclusion is where the evidence points to. The absence of evidence does not point to a conclusion of its explanation. That's not how it works, Emmanuel.
Okay, but I think you're trying to make everything complicated when everything is very easy.
Fine, give me the easy explanation of why God exists.
I just told you the idea of greatness.
Look at
how
the trees.
Everything is really great and above us.
No, I don't think it's above us. I don't think that it's beyond our ability to one day understand. I don't know whether there are questions that are unanswerable. And to say that there is greatness beyond our... No. Shut up for a second, Emmanuel. How much of the universe do cats understand?
Nothing.
Do cats understand the theory of evolution?
No.
So should cats believe that God's... Okay, what's anything you believe in that's a scientific principle? Do cats understand that water evaporates into clouds? Do you understand that? That water evaporates and then it condenses into clouds?
I understand that, but they can't understand that because they don't have a brain.
Cats don't understand that. So is a natural thing happening, or is a God making clouds from the perspective of a cat?
Yeah, but we're not cats.
No shit, Emmanuel, but that doesn't mean that our brains aren't limited to be able... There is a perfectly reasonable possibility that there are complex concepts that our limitations as humans will never be able to grasp. I don't know whether those exist or not, but it may be the case that we have limited brains, and within our limitations, there will be concepts too complex for us to grasp, similar to the way that cats don't find the evaporation theory to be, that it is too complex for cats to understand evaporation. And it would be ridiculous if a cat had an idea of God to say, therefore, this which is too complex, I'm a cat, is God, evaporation, and couldn't be materialistic or natural like everything else that surrounds us. And it is equally stupid to do so. And Emmanuel, we already had this conversation, and I told you that you needed to take a break. I'm not going to force you to take a break again, but I got to tell you, it affects whether or not I'm going to take a call from you. Because I told you when I told you need to take a break, was you were now calling in to defend the God of the gaps by name, which is a joke. The phrase of the God of the gaps is a joke phrase. It is making fun of people who do that. And you called in to say the God of the gaps is reasonable. And now you've called in again to say the God of the gaps is reasonable, but I didn't say that by name. The fact that there are things we don't understand, it's more reasonable to believe that it's a God than a limitation of our understanding. And I'm totally ignorant to evolution, because you just said you don't accept the theory of evolution, which is a demonstrated fact, an observed fact that you don't believe in. So you've also shown your scientific ignorance there. I don't care if you want to go and learn about evolution and then say, well, God also played a part in all of that. But to say that you don't accept evolution and then tell me that there are things beyond my comprehension when you don't accept facts, but I should trust you and believe in your God, when you would say something as ignorant as you don't believe in evolution, you have completely eliminated yourself as being capable of compelling me of anything, because you have identified yourself as ignorant to the nth degree. So Emmanuel, why should I listen to someone who does not accept the fact of evolution on what he thinks created the universe?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of scientific evidence for evolution.
No.
I'm not saying
demonstrated as a fact evolution has been.
Yeah, it's a demonstrated fact, but it goes against the scriptures.
So Emmanuel, stop, because I'm not going to give you another word besides saying goodbye after I'm talking. You have just said that something is a demonstrated fact, but it goes against the scriptures. Therefore, I accept the scriptures over a demonstrated fact. And for me to then accept your way of life, I would have to say, I will also stop believing demonstrated facts in favor of the scriptures. And that is not an option. period. You can say goodbye if you like, so it's not a hang up. But until that changes, until you want to bring me a God which fits inside reality, there is no point in ever calling again.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy, for taking my calls. I'll try to
Work on
come
that.
up with better arguments.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
I'll try to make. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Wow. Wow. Oh, I hit the wrong one. Shit. I hit the wrong shortcut. I was trying to get rid of the overlay. If your God doesn't fit in reality, if you cannot use the same way that we demonstrate basic things to exist, the stove is hot. If you can't use an extrapolated, I'm not saying it has to be that basic, but an extrapolated version of that very concept. And if you actually say, yes, it's a demonstrated fact, but it's against the scriptures, so I accept the scriptures over the demonstrated fact, don't bother calling in. You cannot win that argument because it's not an argument that can even be had. I don't know how to tell you if literally you're basically saying, if you proved with facts the Bible isn't true, but the Bible said it is, I'd still accept the Bible. Then there's no point in these conversations because I can be changed by evidence and you can't. So what's the point? Dave in Maryland, it sounds like you have a very quick question about cosplay and woodworking.
Yeah, well, they're two separate questions.
Okay.
So about cosplay and religion, you and Matt were talking like a month ago about it.
Okay.
I don't quite remember the whole. I'm not going to go back and try to find the video, but
well, you might have to because I don't remember anything. I don't remember what I said at the beginning of the show. But anyway, what's the question? Because if you're asking me to explain something that I don't remember in the context of, I can't promise you that I can explain it or even accept that I said it.
Okay. Yeah, we probably don't need the context, but so the question that I came up with right at the end when you guys were done talking about that was, is there any benefit that could be had from religion that you couldn't get from cosplay?
I said that. Is there any benefit you can get from religion that you couldn't get from cosplay? It's a pretty funny line.
No, that's my question to you. I think you guys were saying like...
It's a funny joke. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're meaning it as a joke, but yeah, I don't... No,
it's not a joke. It's an actual like...
Okay.
Because like...
Here's the question I ask seriously. Is there any benefit from religion that doesn't exist independent of religion? Any benefit that you have to have the religion to go with? So if it's community, nope, you can get community other places. If it's concepts of how to become a better person, how to get forgiveness, all of these things exist in other places. Is there anything within reality that doesn't require you to embrace delusion, essentially, that you can get out of religion, a positive benefit that you can't get elsewhere? If you're saying specifically cosplay, I mean, it's, to me, I would use that as a one-off line, but I don't know if I can, I don't know of a cosplay group that's big on figuring out how to become a better person and get forgiveness for the way that you've slighted people in the past or something like that. But I know of many systems that have that. So if you're asking me to specifically say what can't you get out of cosplay that you can get out of religion, it'd just be sort of a silly task. Is that what you're asking? I don't fully understand.
I think the like nuts and bolts of the question was about, I was thinking in context of like Maslow's hierarchy, which I don't think it's like the consensus paradigm anymore. But like I know that social like being in a group, you get like social benefits from that. I think that's in the hierarchy somewhere, but I'm not sure if religion is. Okay.
I think that community is generally the number one thing that religion is offering you, and those communities they're a bit mandated. Like there's not a lot of choice choices for them to eject you as long as you're, not rocking the boat and you're still paying your money to be there. And then they obviously prey upon very vulnerable people. So I guess I don't fully, but it sounds like it's just sort of an exercise in sort of just going like, hey, yeah, you get that out of religion, but you get it out of this too. But that doesn't make quote unquote cosplay true.
Right.
Anyway, hey, I don't care if I'm sorry, I'm just going to say the person in the, I find it really funny that somebody said Dillahunty and we stopped them. I don't care if people want to insult my intelligence, but they wrote Dillahunty can afford to be a dick because he has the intellect, but then you spelled Dillahunty wrong. This person in the chat said Dillahunty completely wrong. And so, I'll take your intellectual note to account. I find it actually beautiful that an idiot like me is capable of high-level skepticism because it means that skepticism is obtainable. But anyway, Dave, what was your question about woodworking?
Yeah, I was just curious what you're doing, what kind of projects you're doing. I just ordered I have 30 different pen blanks of different species of wood.
Hell yeah. What's your favorite species of wood to make pen blanks out of, make pens out of? And then I'm going to answer this and then get to theist calls again, but go ahead.
Well, I'm not making pens out of them, but I'm making scratch pens basically for my coin hobby.
Oh, cool. Cool.
But yeah, I have everything from balsa wood to, lignum vitae, basically.
I highly recommend you try black and white ebony if you haven't already. It's my favorite thing to turn.
That's on my list to get.
Hell yeah. It's expensive, but it's awesome.
I really like persimmon. It's actually a type of ebony, but it's white.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, it just looks cool.
Let me jump back to theist calls, but the answer to your question is mostly right now I'm working on structures for my wood shop, but I am working on a series of funny paddles for my pervy BDSM audience.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Dave.
Go fuck yourself.
You too, buddy. I'm impervious now. Now that all insults are actually compliments, you can't get me. Let's talk to another. Wasn't the last caller called Dave? Yeah. All right. Well, this one's a David. We're going to talk to David in Arizona. David in Arizona, a theist. You are on the line.
What's up, Jimmy?
What up?
Remember me or no?
I vaguely, yeah, because it wasn't that long ago. It was this last week, right?
Yeah, I mean, I call every freaking week at least now. Yeah, I might suggest at the end of the call you call less often and focus on making your point and your argument better. But anyway, I always win, bro. But anyways,
you win always, huh? You're not the one who called me the R word, are you?
No.
That's good.
No, of course not.
I don't know. Somebody did this week.
To the last guy that insulted me, man. I don't know if was he a theist?
No, that was a joke. There's a joke on my channel that instead of complimenting me, people tell me to go fuck myself because I'm very uncomfortable with compliments. And so so go fuck yourself is basically like saying that love what you do and you're great. And that's it's much more comfortable for me.
Yeah, I heard you say that you don't like compliments. That's cool. That's fine. I thought that you were being rude, whatever.
No.
But anyways, I'm glad that I was on the same call date as Emmanuel, man. He always has nothing new to present. But anyways, my topic is intelligent design. But in reality, I'd say that we actually know nothing of this universe. We always discover something new. So sitting here and debating whether something is real or not is actually kind of dumb. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean, because my problem of debating whether or not something is true isn't whether it could be true. You tell me intelligent design is real, and I say I don't believe you. That's not... all you have to do is prove your point. So my problem isn't accepting we don't know anything in the grand scheme of things. The universe has so much we don't know that if you round it to a whole number, how much we know 0% of the universe. That's how little we know. The problem I have is with the people who go, we know 0% of the universe, but I can explain 100% of it right now in one 3-letter word. That's an insane proposition to me.
Right. What are those 3 words? Is it like God exists or God doesn't exist or something like that? Is that what you're going to say?
I don't believe God exists. And there are specific gods I believe don't exist.
Right. No, yeah, I get you. I mean, if you look at it from a different perspective, like everything in this universe, even to the smallest cell, has a small electric charge. You know, we're basically like robots. You know, without this electricity coursing through us, we basically die. And
electrons exist, true.
Of course. And here we are as a species creating these robots, these AI or whatever, and then we have the nerve to say, oh well, there can't be a more superior advanced being that might have had a hand in this just because we don't.
Who said that? Who said it? Who said that can't have happened?
Well, everybody that's not everybody, but like most atheists. You'll hear saying,
false.
No, there's nothing.
I don't say God can't have happened. I don't say there is no higher being that can't have. I say no one has shown they have, and I reject the statement that it did happen.
No, yeah, I mean that's fine.
That's the atheist position, by the way.
Good. Yeah, I mean, well, it's a very broad thing. It's like saying all Christians are homophobic.
It's not a broad thing. All atheists do not believe in God. Now, any claim beyond that is beyond atheism.
Right.
Period.
Okay, well, I mean, but they call themselves atheists still. So
I don't care what anybody else calls themselves. As soon as they add other labels, if they say, I say God does not exist, they are a strong atheist. And the word there that matters is strong, not atheist. When you take away strong, the common thing all atheists believe, the only thing you can say all atheists, not even believe, the only thing you say is they all don't believe in a God or gods. That's it.
Right.
Nothing further.
Okay. Well, let's say that's okay. That's fine.
No, let's not say that's the case. Either tell me I'm right or I'm wrong, because I am right. Either accept it.
You're right about that.
Thank you.
No, atheism. Yeah, atheism is the definition that they believe that there is no God.
No,
that's fine.
Atheist is not the definition that there is no God.
There's no belief. There is no belief.
They don't believe in a God. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry if I.
Yes, please state
words differently.
Please, no, you didn't use words differently. You used words wrongly. The phrase that you used was wrong. So please use the correct definitions of the terms that, especially if you're repeating back to me my words, don't repeat a different position. You won't get far, David. Anyway, continue with your exercise.
Dang. I have ADHD, so like I lose track of things.
I feel you,
pretty
bud.
fast sometimes.
Me too. You've seen it on this show. I don't have ADHD, but I also lose track of things where I go 1, and then by the time I get to 2, I forget what 2 was going to be.
I mean, I'm also a woodworker. You know, not fully.
David, come on, come back to God.
All the tools.
I love woodworking. Woodworking is the best.
I'm telling you this because I've heard you mention it a few times. You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's pretty cool. But anyways, so about God.
Sure.
Dang, it's hard to point out why he exists, why I believe he exists. But in reality, you know, I can't really use anecdotal evidence because that's obviously it's something that only I have experienced.
Right. And by the way, David, it shouldn't be good enough for you either. Something that's only happened to you should not be good enough for you. I believed when I was younger that I had experience of spirits, I had experiences of the Holy Ghost, that I had dreams that were so strong, they were clearly revelations, that things to me that happened around me seemed supernatural. And I now reject any of them as having a supernatural premise because I have come up with adequate naturalistic, materialistic things that could have happened. I'm not even saying it's the things that did happen, but because they've been demonstrated as possible, they're infinitely more likely to me than it was something magical. And then there are probably 1 or 2 things where I go, you know, I don't have a better explanation for that, but that doesn't mean a better explanation doesn't exist. And it wouldn't be appropriate to say, I can't explain how this happened, therefore God did it. Because at the moment I say that, I go, I can't explain how this happened, so let me explain how it happened. that you're defying your own position at that point. And we get those calls all the time. Well, God exists because of all of these things I can't explain. Well, if you can't explain them, then can't explain God would be an explanation. You just said you can't explain it. Which one is it?
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. I am not of that person that would say, hey, this happened to me. No, those people, I dislike people like that.
But is that why you believe in God? Is the your anecdotes?
No, of course not.
Good.
No. That's only a fraction of it. Only later in life that I realized after studying, science, watching nature, history, and studying it, not just like watching TV on it or whatever. But only then did I realize that it started adding up. So for me, that was sufficient evidence. You know what I mean?
No,
I don't. Everybody has different outcomes and different point of views, and the point is that we don't know, so we can't, argue. We should be helping each other instead of like arguing about fight, because everybody's just fighting basically.
I agree. We can't know. So the conclusion is, so therefore we should not declare any of these things as true because we don't know. And we definitely shouldn't interfere with the rights of other people on the basis of our not knowing. And so, David, if you're a Christian, is that the type of theist you are, is Christian?
I'm not a Christian, no.
Oh, I see. Then just as a group of theists, you need to go convince other theists to stop voting against my rights since they can't know if their religion or their theism is true, to stop voting on the basis as though it is, since it's unknowable. And then if you want to come, and once you have succeeded in convincing all theists to stop voting against other people's lives and what other people are doing, then you can come and tell me that this show, there's no point to it and we should be out there doing things together and being activists instead. Because I'll tell you the result I see of this show. I see the hundreds to now thousands of emails of previous bigots saying I'm not a bigot anymore and I'm no longer working against other people's rights. And if you want to tell me that has no point, that type of activism, there was no point to these arguments and these discussions when it changed the way people treated other people for the better, I will argue with you until I run out of voice like I did screaming at Andrew last week. But until you can convince other theists to stop doing that, this show always has a great point and is a type of activism, I declare.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I at first when I started watching you guys a few months ago, I was, I always go into things with with an open mind. And when I started watching you guys, at first I was like, oh man, these guys they're ignorant of whatever. But as I watched you guys more, I started seeing that you guys are a good opposition to because the amount of calls that I heard that would talk to you guys about the dumbest things, like, oh, I saw Jesus in my pancake or something, that's just ridiculous. And the way you guys argued against that was really, really well done. And you guys would shut them down. You would shut down people like Emmanuel, for example, no offense. And I guess we do need more of that, because in the end, it just helps for people to become more agreeable to each other. And
David, I'll put it this way. I actually don't give a fuck about. The only reason I appear to give a fuck about whether or not a person believes in God or not is because what then happens when they do believe in a God. And that there are times where their God bypasses how should I treat a person. And it's too,
that's what I mean.
It's too, I know, we're agreeing, David. I'm not arguing with you. It is too prominent. So when someone like you calls in, I'm excited to still talk to you because our discussion about whether your theism is logical, I probably don't give a fuck about whether it changes your mind, but it almost definitely will play a part in somebody else's deconstruction. And so the person who watches, and because of our call, it challenges their belief a little bit more, and their belief is harmful, and it is a part of their journey out of deconversion. That's who the call between you and I, David, and I don't mean this in any way to like make people think, well, he doesn't even want to talk to me. I desperately want to talk to everybody. But the person who's going to benefit from our call that I care about isn't me. It isn't you. It's the member of the audience that this is a part of their deconstruction. Unless you call and can prove to me God exists, in which case not only will I convert to theism, I will, if it is actually proven to me, I guarantee you a similar project proving that theism to other people, to atheists. I'll be taking calls and Dillahunty will be calling me to prove, I will prove to him his atheism's wrong and my theism is right. That is what would the result of someone proving it to me would be. If somebody proves that, great, but that hasn't happened yet. Probably is never going to happen because there's not been a good proposal for God. So in the meantime, I'm going to have these conversations because it participates in deconstructing and decomposing bigotry.
No, yeah, I mean, bigotry is, I know that you guys see the biblical God as pro this bigotry, but in reality, after I've read it, with more of a, I'm not going to say it's my interpretation. I guess
right, David, you're Jewish.
The way I've read it.
You claim a type of Judaism, right?
I'm going to convert possibly real soon. And the point is,
are you going to Orthodoxy? Clearly not, right?
I mean, it could be, but that's, I guess.
No, there's no way. You can't maintain your humanism, which clearly you feel and are advocating for. Not a secular humanist, but clearly you feel a pull toward humanism. I don't think you could do so and become an Orthodox. I'm
very humanist. Your rights are you deserve them, basically.
Yeah,
and that's my belief.
Good luck trying to do that as an Orthodox Jew. The religion.
Well, okay. Well, I'm not going to like plug my stuff. I'm not. I don't have anything. Okay. I'm just going to say that I'm going to be working on something, and then eventually, who knows? That might be something that people are looking for. I'm not. Are you taking
scholarly input to your decisions whether or not to convert to Judaism?
I'm looking at peer-reviewed historical articles eventually, and I've looked at a lot of works from different authors and different.
Have you read the book "Did the Old Testament Endorse Slavery" by Dr. Joshua Bowen?
No, I have not. But I'm going to be looking at a lot of things before I start. I can't just start spouting things without knowing, obviously.
I want you to acknowledge basically that the Bible and the Old Testament is in fact immoral, and the savior of its immorality is what we can now do with it as humans who recognize it. And that's why I'm suggesting this book, because for you to sit there and go with your new understanding, you realize it's our understanding of morality. You are wrong. The Old Testament endorses disgusting slavery. Not slavery but if you actually understand what they meant by slavery, it's not what we understand by slavery. It is full-on, cruel, gross, fucked up slavery. So I please recommend to you the book, Did the Old Testament Endorse Slavery by Dr. Joshua Bowen.
Can you give me an example? I know what it says already, but can you give me an example of what you would call?
No, because I'm not going to play. I already know the game, and I'm not going to play the game of, when I read it, I go blah, 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 blah. I'm giving you the scholarly backup because it doesn't matter. I've said it, David, how many times in today's episode have I said I'm just an idiot doing a show? So for me to go, you say, well, I see it this way, and I say I see it this way, I'm referencing scholarship and books and shit like that. But I can't prove any of it to you because I'm not an authority on any of it. You're saying you're taking scholarly input, and I'm offering you scholarly input that directly defies what you've just said. I don't care if you become a Jew. I don't care if you stay a theist. I do care about your humanism and the fact that you are trying to make disgusting things about the Old Testament work. On the one hand, I'm glad you won't embrace it. But on the other hand, when you said orthodoxy might be an option, now I do have a problem because that's going to undermine your humanism. So what I'm telling you is there's a book. I'd like you, if you really are considering scholarship, to read that book and tell me that the Bible is not describing immoral things like slavery.
Oh, believe me, I've read about that. I've thought about it. And I will look at that book. Can you write it in the chat maybe or a mod? That way I can...
It's really easy. Did the Old Testament endorse slavery? You just have to think about what we were talking about and it'll be up in front of you.
Yeah. Okay, I will try to remember because I have ADHD and forgetting.
I get it.
But...
There's probably already people writing it in the live chat, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not looking at it because it distracts me. So
it's all good. Yes to the pancaking on. I will read super chats at the end here.
Yeah, look, I'm never gonna change. I've been the same person my entire life.
That doesn't depress you to say.
Yeah.
Boy, what a depressing. David, how old are you?
33.
You're 33? I'm going to be 33 in 2 weeks, and you're never going to change, David?
Hey. Oh, come on. We're not imposing things on each other, are we now? No offense. Just wondering.
I am. I'm going to say if I was in charge of you, I would insist you be open to chinging. But I'm not in charge of you. I recognize that. You just said I'm not going to change. I'm old. You're 33. You've only had an adult brain for like 15 years and a fully developed brain for 8 years. You are essentially somewhere between a child and a teenager in relation to being an adult, an actual functioning member of society. What are you talking about? You're never going to change. That's so depressing to me to hear a 33-year-old say.
I love myself. I mean, I love the way I am. I honestly.
I love people. I love Matt Dillahunty. I hope he would never say something as stupid as depressing, I should say. I won't be as mean with the word stupid. If Dillahunty ever said to me, I'm never going to change, I would say then I don't ever want to fucking talk to you again because you have not met a standard of perfection and there's always things you can improve. You're not even the best version of an atheist debater you could ever be. There is still room for him to become even better at that. The fuck would never change.
No, don't get me wrong.
What the fuck?
No, don't get me wrong. I don't mean I meant that as in my morality is never going to change. Me as a person, I'm always going to grow and change and learn new things. But my moral standards will never change.
If you want to say that you're never going to not be a humanist, I hope that's true. And I will say, I hope I'm never going to not be a humanist unless something better presents itself. And maybe one day I'll want to use some other term because I know there are vegan atheists out there who now use the term sentientist. And maybe that's my future. I don't know. But as far as the basis of humanism goes, I don't think I'm not a vegan is why I say I don't know if that's my future. But as far as humanism goes, I hope that is going to be consistent through the rest of my life unless something is demonstrated to me to be better. But I'm going to leave open one, that someone could demonstrate something to me to be better. And two, my humanism, my relationship with humanism will definitely change. There will be days where I go, oh shit, the way in which I did not care about this or did care about this, or the way in which I said come on Twitter was too far and actually not very humanist of me. I don't know that that's going to be the example. And I'm going to change my ability to be a good humanist, and what I consider good humanism will change.
Well, I wouldn't say that that's offensive. I mean, if somebody finds that offensive, then they need help, honestly. You made a joke. Maybe
we don't have to relitigate that. We don't have to relitigate that, David.
Can you tell me that? Yeah. Can you tell me the joke where take Jesus in your mouth? Sorry, man. That was hilarious. Can you tell me that? Like, where's that? What is it? Like,
where
take Jesus in your mouth and something?
No. There was a meme that was suggesting that you're filleting God's word, essentially. That God is God. Yeah. He has the word, and you fillet the word. That was that you're blowing God, basically. But yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And you don't have a stake in this because you're not a Christian and all of that. I'm just saying, don't say ever again something as depressing as I'll never change. So sad.
Well, okay. Well, my moral standing will never change. It'll only become more moral. I choose to be more
That's
moral.
Change,
I'm never
buddy.
Going to be anti.
You will become better at maintaining your moral beliefs is change. That's changing.
I mean, I want to become a better person. That's what I mean.
Right. But it's sort of like saying, I'll never change. I'll always be a Homo sapien. One, not necessarily. Do we change species if we integrate with AI and start becoming more cyborg? I don't know. But two, that's such an insignificant thing to like declare as therefore I won't change. Be a very dynamic person and always project yourself as less intelligent than you actually are so people will underestimate you. That's Jimmy's advice for the day.
Yeah, that's why I'm not like going into anything really because I'd rather just save it and see what people think before, and then I'll adjust my tactics that way.
So David, next time you call me, here's going to be my question for you. You ready for it?
Yes.
What's a good reason for both of us to believe in God? Don't do it now. You're not prepped for it. Write down stuff you need to, if that's the way that you interact with ADH best, is by having notes and stuff. Let's not do the conversation now. Prep that for the next time you call me.
Can I say one thing? And yes, I will prep it.
Sure, but I'm not going to respond because I'm not going to do it today. But yeah, go ahead.
Of course, yeah, that's fine. I have a pretty decent set of evidences of why, but it takes an open mind, not someone who's maybe not willing.
David,
but
I would argue that I have a much more open mind than you do, because I can change my beliefs easily as long as you have good evidence. It is much easier to change an atheist to theism in principle, not in action. In principle, a skeptic who is an atheist is much easier. The standard to change them from an atheist to a theist is much easier than to take a theist like the one I just talked to, who said, yes, I understand that's an established fact, but the Bible disagrees, so I disagree with an established fact. That is a much less open-minded person. And I would say to you that it is very likely that my mind, in a reasonable way, is much more open than any theists or most theist minds are. Because open-mindedness cannot mean I accept things as possible just because someone posited it. It has to mean that I am not so stuck in the arrogance of my own mind that I think every conclusion I've made is the final conclusion and can't be changed. That's what open-mindedness has to actually effectively mean. And I promise you, if you bring me stuff, I, with an open mind, will either accept or reject it.
Right. No, yeah, and that's good. When I say, you do have an open mind, and that's great. I am not closed-minded. When I watched you guys, I was like, man, these guys are going to shatter me. But, it turns out that we're still on the same boat with the questions. And
I don't know about all that, but we're at least on the same boat of caring about humanism.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, another thing that I wanted to say was basically to all the Christians and Catholics, like, basically stop hating people, because just because you heard Jesus go ahead.
Unfortunately, that's only going to make up like 4% of the people you're speaking to. Every time I poll, it comes out. Let's see, I'm just going to poll the chat real quick, but you'll see the results after. We are going to wrap this up, and I've got another atheist and theist call that I want to get to before we do super chats here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, that is unfortunate. Yeah,
I agree. Anything else before I let you go, David?
Nope. Just eat a bag of dicks, man. Take care.
You're getting creative with it. I like it. Thanks.
Take care, man.
See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good call. I like those calls because I feel like I got a little bit probably more impatient or on Sunday. I don't remember. Sunday was the day where I showed up to the show late because the show broke. And I had to fix it in a way that would get Matt on air, and then I was able to bring myself back on air. But the truth of why we're not going to embrace that fix is everything forever, and therefore leave everything vulnerable to potentially break in the same way, is the audio quality is much better the original way, and the amount of delay between us and callers is much better in this way. So. Hey, wow, cool. We got a newbie to the channel in chat. Thanks, Lillian. I will read super chats at the end of the show here. Let's do these quick. I'm very excited to hear from Athena again. Athena is from Australia, and last week we talked about the horrors, or not even last week, 3 days ago, Tuesday, we talked about the horrors of the Muslim school that she was raised with and doing disgusting things like tracking girls' periods and the like, and also causing them to cover up, starting at 9 years old with the hijab. But Athena, you are on the line again, wanting to talk to me about my view of patriotism.
Yes, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this was kind of inspired by a discussion you had with Shannon, and I know that she isn't here, so I obviously won't bring up her point of view. But
sure.
I think you and I probably stand on a similar ground when it comes to patriotism. To give you some background, I'm Australian, but ethnically I'm Turkish, and I was raised in a very, very Turkish household. And if you know anything about Turks, we love we love our patriotism, apparently.
Yeah.
It's a bit scary. It's a bit scary how much we're told to, in effect, worship the flag and praise the military. It just gets a bit too much. And just from the outside, obviously I'm not from the States or anything, but from the outside, I do think that the States has a very similar patriotic identity.
Yeah, maybe worse even.
Oh, well, maybe.
I
But then
understand.
again,
Yours is, so your patriotism that you're describing, I believe, is mostly culturally reinforced, especially at the level of family. Is that correct? Or is it more state reinforced?
well, there's also a religious element to it as well.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and that's, so America is state, family, culture, and religiously enforced. So in America, you say the Pledge of Allegiance every day in school. It is part of a school curriculum to basically just read about all the exceptionalism of America and all the things that are great, and then to completely whitewash things like slavery, like the civil rights movement, try to only raise to esteem the heroes who were heroes within the confines of what seems acceptable. That's why we have such completely different attitudes about people at large, about people like Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X, and the way that people are revered even when they are out of the accepted white group, when they're brought into being an American hero. It's the constant singing at our sports events. It's either God Bless America or the national anthem or whatever. It is performative patriotism. You need to show that you're a patriot. You need to show. When we lived in Florida after 9/11, my parents got a big American flag and hung it, and it actually obstructed the ability to see out if you were sitting on the front porch. It was completely covered up by a flag. You could no longer enjoy your front yard and looking out by sitting on the porch. You now needed to find somewhere else to sit. It is tremendous patriotism, but it's not also just about the patriotism of loving America. It's hating everybody who would say a bad thing about America. And there are plenty of people with lots of bad things to say about America. And at its core, I find patriotism gross. I find mandated patriotism more gross. But to be even like mildly patriotic sort of is acknowledging or accepting a level of accepting a level of pride over where you very arbitrarily were born and the things that they did do, and letting that swelling of pride also overwhelm anything that should disgrace you about where you live. And I think that patriotism in general, people should just be neutral. You can talk about great things as being great and sad things as being sad or bad or evil or whatever else. But to have an inherent competitiveness where you're on your country over another country is the line between that and becoming a bigot is too fuzzy for me to think that anyone should engage in at any level. That is not in any way suggesting that I am saying Shannon is too fuzzily close to a line of becoming a Canadian bigot against other countries, for the record, before anybody tries to turn that into Twitter drama. I think that she's an amazing person, and I am not at all offended by the fact that she has some pride in her Canadian heritage and where she lives and what the sort of things they're doing. I just can't. I'm so disgusted by the concept of patriotism to then summarize that and tell people you feel patriotic is the place where I can't go. But again, she's not here, so we'd have to. As far as arguing her position, I'm not going to, because I also would probably fuck it up.
Yeah, I obviously don't think Shannon's a bigot or anything. I love
not even
Shannon.
close.
I love the way she talks about the brain.
Yeah.
She seems like a really great human being. But so the things you were describing, I would say, are very close, if not the same on some levels, in Turkey. And mind you, I've always lived in Australia.
Sure.
So everything that I'm fed is through Turkish media and my parents. And my parents maintained a very traditional Turkish household. So it was basically like I was growing up in Turkey, to some extent. I don't know if you know, but Turkey has conscription, so mandatory, like for men, they have to go to the army for like a certain amount of time. Have you seen any of the celebrations that they do when a young man is selected and is eligible to go? It's
gross.
I want to say it's psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so we were raised on like they have these songs and like poems about, you know, mothers dry the tears in your eyes because your son is going to serve his country, and that's the greatest thing that anyone could do.
We have similar
if he
propaganda.
Died, it's when a soldier dies, because of the religious aspect as well, the whole like martyrdom thing. It's something that's very obviously they're proud of it, and then they're told that they're not meant to grieve, right? And I think that's very toxic.
Sure. Celebrate the heroism of the lost. Basically, it's a martyrdom propaganda.
Yeah, and that like is, I would say it's influenced by the state as well, by the government, and especially the current government. I don't want to really like get any people mad, but the current government really likes to mix religion and government a lot, even though Turkey's technically secular.
Mm-hmm.
But,
right. Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah. So's America.
Yeah,
our
fun.
Constitution was the first secular one there ever was.
I know. So I just want to say, our the Australian Constitution was basically like, we basically stole whatever you guys did. I mean, are we surprised? No. But like, it was heavily inspired, even though we're technically a constitutional monarchy, but like our Constitution does model the American Constitution. And to see shit going on in America and how they can,
it's almost strange.
I get scared for my country.
It's almost strange and makes me wonder about things too. That the fact that the states that still have both monarchy and theistic establishments in their religion, where those are in Europe, and we're talking mostly about Christian ones, a lot of those places have become more secular in publicly rejecting those concepts and basically saying, we can do this as cosplay, to use that word again and probably forget in 2 weeks when people ask about it, but we can do this as cosplay, but let's not do it for real. It's almost funny how the UK operates, for example, more closely to a secular government with theistic and monarchical establishments than the US does, which lacks both of those things. There's something very strange about that, almost like to say, if you have a secular government that separates God and state, religious people will find advantages to spread their bullshit. But if you have a religious state, they'll actually get over it eventually and hold it almost in effigy of the mistakes they made prior. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing that has happened through history. I still wouldn't take the chance and then go, therefore, let's now establish the U.S. as a Christian nation, because as soon as we do that, the executions start, and I think I'm not low on the list.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's all good.
No, I'm just imagining like a Christian. Please don't.
I agree.
Please don't lose your. Please don't. Okay.
But I think we're on the same page here, Athena, that patriotism is, it's inherently problematic. And I think there are lots of people who feel some sense of patriotism that I don't think they themselves are remotely problematic. I don't think Shannon's problematic in her patriotism. Bill Nye, the science guy, likes to say, I'm a patriot. America should do this, damn it. I don't find him problematic. But it's a general system that I feel like it's a slippery slope that isn't a fallacy, because the slope has been slipped demonstrably many times. And so I'd rather have a default of let's not be patriotic because of the overwhelming majority of people who take that to a toxic place, than let's hold on to patriotism and celebrate the exceptions to the toxicity, people like Shannon, people like Bill Nye.
I think it's maybe like even a conflation of appreciating one's culture and I guess,
Sure.
like background, ethnic background, and that part of their identity, and honoring and feeling proud about their government and their government's actions, and
I mean, we see this across
toxicity that comes with.
We see this across everything that people fundamentally misunderstand. So, for example, people think that Black pride is about being proud to be Black, when in reality it's about being proud of the humanity amongst Black people, basically the human experience of Black people who, amongst oppression for being Black, emerged out and have basically been able to advocate for themselves and make great strides towards equality in a lot of places. We can't say that they've achieved equality in many places because they definitely haven't in America yet. But, it's getting there and it might happen one day. Same thing with queer pride. I'm not remotely proud to be a queer. I can't control it. So to say I'm proud I'm queer is a weird thing to be proud of, to be proud of the attractions. However, I have queer pride, and my queer pride is entirely wrapped up in the humanity of queer people coming out and saying we won't be treated a certain way, and being activists in the face of adversity and putting ourselves in danger in the face of adversity and oppression, and going, fuck this is not okay. The status quo doesn't work for us. And I'm very proud of the things that queer people have done as a collective. And I'm proud to be a part of that community without trying to then also take credit for all of its accomplishments, which is honestly one of the things that I find kind of gross about not just patriotism, but you even see that about pride. Like the people who will bring up Stonewall as though their pride is what they did at Stonewall, when it's like, you weren't at fucking Stonewall, the way the average person does. And so the same sort of thing happens in patriotism, the way a person will say, like, we kicked your ass in World War II. It's like, buddy, you didn't kick anybody's ass. You drank beer and watched a movie. I was going to say a documentary, but let's be real. You didn't watch a movie. You watched Saving Private Ryan, or a documentary. You watched Saving Private Ryan. Let's be clear about what actually fucking happened here. And you've got pride about how you kicked the Germans' ass or whatever, or whoever else is. You didn't kick anybody's ass. And I sort of like, I think everybody should ground themselves and separate themselves and venerate the people who actually were at Stonewall, and stop trying to use your pride to take credit for the actions of much braver, better people. And I'll say that for myself as a queer activist, as an atheist, I'm quote unquote atheist activist, but more importantly, humanist activist and skeptic activist. I've done some stuff, but there are way better people out there than me that should be venerated much more.
Yeah, I would agree. And with like the wars and stuff, it's funny because obviously in like Gallipoli, it was Turks versus Australia. So I don't which side do I hold?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like on both sides. I would my parents would like watch movies about the war, and they'll be like, oh my god, look how incredible our soldiers were. They did everything without any proper military equipment, and then we beat the Aussies and shit. And then I'm like, but we live in Australia. I'm Australian. Like,
right.
What do you want me to say?
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
All that stuff's cool, but I'll tell you what, the people who impress me in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict are the Ukrainians who are doing it now. It ain't going to be any of their great-great-grandkids that I'm like, wow, you get credit.
That just stresses me out. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Jesus, Russia really stresses me. Can they just stop? Is that not a possibility?
Wow. Athena, anything else before I get onto this last theistic call?
No. Have a great day.
It was great hearing from you.
And also,
did you send me those links, by the way, or any resources? And I missed them. Is there somewhere I should look for them?
No, I didn't, because I was scared that I might get exposed to who I am, because not a lot of people. Yeah. Sure.
No worries. I just wanted to ask.
I guess I can send the name of the, like, I can send the official website for the school.
And then just delete any evidence that you ever sent me anything. Or if you have a friend who you trust that doesn't have to conceal themselves, have them send it to me.
The issue was I was afraid if you were to talk about it, people would eventually link it. Like,
Right.
people that I know would link it back to me.
Gotcha.
spilling
Keep the school's
tea.
name out my mouth is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'll go as much as I, would want you to rain hell on them, but
the day will
oh
come,
well.
Athena. You'll be safer one day. You'll have more freedom, and then the day to rain hell it will be. I hope.
One day. Thank you so much, Ed.
Thanks, Athena.
I guess this is what we say, but go fuck yourself. I don't know. Go fuck it.
you feel reluctant to say it, but I heartily accept my fucking myself. Thank you, Athena. Bye. All right. I love hearing from Athena, and I'm definitely, I hope I get to participate. When the day comes to rain hell, I hope I'm there. I hope I get to be a part of it. Let's see. We've got Callisto, pronouns they, he, from California, who is a Wiccan, and declares their Wiccanism as, well, are you a theist or no?
At this point, I am not sure.
Do you believe in a God?
Not really. It's more so about like every person is kind of part of the universe, and I don't really like to call the universe like a God figure.
Okay. Is there anything we can do about your audio? It almost sounds like you're speaking into a can. Is that just what we got to work with today?
Is that better?
Way better. My goodness.
Is it better?
Tremendously.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I honestly was, so I could hear, because my phone was in a cup.
It was literally in a cup. I was thinking of a cup with a string, but that's funny. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh, good guess.
So I guess before I delve into the questions I have, what was the topic you wanted to call about?
So I'm the person that was on Twitter that said Jesus was a twink. From today.
I don't know if I saw it, but I recently also made a very similar claim.
Yes. I kind of wanted to I took some notes actually. I kind of wanted to talk about the energy of people around you, like the energy that you put off and what that brings into your own life and to the lives of others.
And is this a thing that you believe is a supernatural phenomenon, or is this a thing that you're just saying exists?
It's pretty supernatural, I suppose. Yeah. And it's also like, in my opinion, like, the energy that you put off is basically your thoughts, be them like conscious and subconscious, like they both kind of play into.
So what's your definition of energy? Is that what you're trying to say? Is your energy is your thoughts?
Yes.
What is it? What is an element of this that can't be explained by natural phenomenon, that needs to escape natural explanation and needs a supernatural invocation?
Literally, I'd say.
Ooh, you're breaking out real bad. Did you move around? Did your signal get messed up?
Can you hear me a little better?
I do hear you now. Yeah. Go ahead. What is something about this thing that you're identifying as existing that needs the invocation of something supernatural, and we couldn't go with either a natural explanation or say that we don't know the answer, but expect to maybe find it one day in a natural explanation? Where do we need the supernatural element to come in?
I have personally experienced things like
it's breaking really bad again, Callisto. Callisto, I don't know if this signal is going to be. What keeps falling? Callisto, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. Can we get you situated?
Can you hear me now?
I heard "hear me now" after several pops, so we can try one more time, but I think we have to agree now, if we can't keep the signal sustainable for a conversation, we'll need to do this another day. Maybe have you call in on a phone line instead, but let's see what we can do.
Okay. Hello.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Good. I hear you at the moment.
I have personally experienced when I get high, of course, but still, it's a very believable thing to me.
No,
I can
Callisto.
basically read the...
Callisto.
Can you not hear me?
No, I do hear you. I just that's so rough to
it's the
hear
high
that.
thing. I know.
That,
I know.
that you go, this is,
but
I
it's sober
believe
too.
when I get high, this thing which we could put me in a brain scan and see the fact that we know we're getting high and that we're using natural means. But I'm going to let you finish your story. It's already off to a really bad, maybe you're right. Maybe that there's something unlocked that we can't explain naturally when you're high. So I'll let you finish. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay. It delves into the Wiccan too. Just like reading the energy that was in the room, even when you're alone, you can kind of feel what has happened in the past and the general feel of those around. Like I'm living with my parents, and there's like a lot of sadness in the different rooms that really like emotionally affects me.
All right, so
that's
Callisto,
where like the supernatural
Callisto,
then yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
One, you're breaking out, so I hope you'll be able to hear me, but we're not going to do more of your story today. You can call in with more soon, but I'm just going to tell you what I'm reacting to so far. You're talking about you are experiencing some sort of emotional energy, and you believe that that is coming from an external source. And I'm here to tell you I have no reason to believe that it is, nor do you. Especially if you're talking about going into rooms where you can feel the energy of sad things happened to my parents, of which you may be aware, you almost certainly are aware, of a sad past with, that they had sadness in those rooms. And the idea that like, I can say there's an emotion in here and then go find a story to fit it is called confirmation bias. You are working backwards. You're starting with your conclusion and you're filling in why it's true. And so you need to look into
for sure
confirmation bias, and you need to look into, you need to look into that and Google it, spend some time with it, watch some videos about it, and watch some videos on how to avoid it. And you're going to recognize that your recognition of the supernatural is entirely explainable with totally material and natural means. But not only that, the jumps to conclusions you're making, especially when high, maybe Google what happens to your brain when you're high.
Yeah, I hear you.
that's a lot to give a belief. That's a lot of bad reasons to believe in something supernatural. But I'm willing to talk with you about it when we've got a better signal next time. And once you've considered those things, because fundamentally, no matter how much more of the story you're going to tell me, I'm going to come back to those things and go, we can't get past this. So let's get past this off air and talk about it another day. Sound good, Callisto?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have so much better points, and I agree.
Okay.
We'll do another better time.
That sounds
next
great.
Time.
Thank you, Callisto. Good to hear from you.
Thank you for having me.
You want to tell me to go fuck myself?
Oh, no. You're cool.
Everybody else has. It's been fun. It's a term of affection now. Thank you, Callisto.
Okay. Well, go fuck yourself,
Thanks.
and I'll fuck myself too, and have a good day.
Bye, Callisto. All right, that is the end of calls. Things I was going to rant about. I don't even feel as amped up about them. It was mostly going to be these people on Twitter talking about. So one of the things that keeps coming up, there are direct threats of violence, but then there's a whole bunch of these ones that are like basically saying it's too bad that you're doing it here instead of going to a Muslim country and saying it there, or you won't do Muhammad next. And whenever somebody says I won't criticize Muhammad, the same way I literally will just say something like Muhammad was a pedo and a fraud in response. Like, okay, I took that away from you. What do you got next? Huh? We doing this? You said I wouldn't. And almost every time they just move the goalpost. Well, you won't post a video of you drawing a picture of Muhammad, and shit like that. Hang on, let me just bloop, bloop, bloop. And it's done. This Muhammad. It's done. This is a writing tablet for anybody who's confused about what I'm touching right now. I've done it and all of your power taken away. Anyway, you won't mock the prophet. You won't blah, blah, blah. Fucking, you clearly don't know who the fuck I am. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. And then, but what they're saying is they're disappointed they can't murder me. Like, that's literally what they're saying. Because in their mind, if I went and did that in a Muslim country, and by the way, not wrong in some Muslim countries that'd be fine, but not wrong. yes, you can't do that. They have violent laws because they are more wrong about the implementation of a religion versus, and if I just went and I don't even have to say anything. I just go be a queer in some countries and I'm getting thrown off the roof and my murderers aren't being brought to justice. What they are actually saying is they lament that my speaking independently against my own abusers, because whether or not you consider Mormonism Christian or Christian fanfic, it's still Christianity and its influence and its creation, that is later Mormonism. It is still Christianity that abused me. And it was still Christianity the Christianity in a society that abused me and is still abusing all of us in the way these people vote, the things they advocate for, and the way they literally try to limit our existence as citizens and people. And even if it wasn't oppressing me still anymore, which some would argue like my life's still pretty great. It's better than a lot of people who aren't oppressed, who aren't from oppressed minorities. I've still emerged in having a pretty decent life. It wouldn't matter because there would still be people for me to advocate for. And they lament that I can't be murdered for that very thing. That it would be a better world if only I could be murdered for speaking out against their Christ and saying that God likes cum in his tum-tum. He finds it num-num, and every now and then you want a yum-yum, so you reach for the bum-bum. Anyway, Jesus was a twink. Jesus was a twink. But now we know Craig isn't offended by that. However, we can't speak for... I feel like, man, I should have brought that point up when we were talking about the peers. I'm not going to tell him who his peers are. Otherwise, should I say to Craig, oh, well, your peers are these people currently threatening me with death? Or are our peers people we recognize, not people other assigned for us? But I think Craig would probably agree with that anyway and go, yeah, you're right too, because we mostly agree by the end. It was a pretty good conversation, and I'm happy to show people my methods of conflict resolution and also demonstrate that even when you think I'm wrong, I'm still right. That's a joke. That's a joke. Calm down. It's a joke. Let's do super chats and then call it a day. There was some other stuff I was going to maybe rant off about. I know Matt called me and he's like, if I was doing the show tonight, let me tell you what I'd be ranting about, but he's prepping to leave. I'd be ranting about these leaked text messages from Fox News between Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Rupert Murdoch, and other high-ups. Just blasting, talking severe shit about Donald Trump and his election lies, despite the fact that they are projecting a level of, well, we got to hear all the sides. We got to hear the facts. Despite all of that, what they're projecting out, that they were full on roasting and even considering coming out in a unified show with the three hosts together and saying he's wrong, he lost, Biden is the legitimate president. So it looks like we got a 5% theist audience today. That's high. Let's do one more. I'll let you all pick. I quite like having a little bit of music in the background when we do this, just something pleasant. I can control the volume level, but let's do a poll. Should, for the super chat portion, music, yes or no? And I'll let you all decide. I'm going to get it ready in case it is going to happen, and I'll just turn the slider all the way down. Let's see. I would probably do the lo-fi, maybe electronic. I feel like probably do the electronic playlist. Ooh. But something low. I'd put it on shuffle too, but probably do some kind of good shuffle. Ooh. But yeah, we'd pull it down, and I'd have to adjust the slider so that it doesn't auto change everything up. Anyway, it's an option. Y'all can vote, and we'll determine what happens. Let me go turn off auto audio on it so it doesn't bring it all the way up to 81% automatically, even when the music's on. And we'll decide what we're doing. All right. Smooth jazz that you want? I have to work within playlists of music that I've licensed to use. Right now we're at 68%. Yes. So I'm going to put it on lightly. How is that? Is that in the background enough? Is that too loud, too quiet? Y'all can tell me, and we'll get to some super chats here. Do send in your super chats. If we don't raise enough, I do have to sell the show to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, I genuinely hope you work on this and come up with arguments for your God that can exist in reality, and say, instead of saying that you would reject reality. Careful with copyright. No, I know. I'm licensed to use all this music. I'll bring it back down low, but this is nice. This goes hard. Some are saying too quiet. What about here? Do you like it here? If you like it here, say cheeseburger. Cheese. We'll say cheese if you like it here, because I like it here, but I'll do what you tell me. Woo! I'm waiting for the first cheeseburger. I'm waiting to see it. I guess I'll start getting super chats up while y'all are doing that. I need special super chat window. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Cheese. Cheese is good. All right. It goes hard. What is it? This is, let me see if I can find the name of the song. This is by Ayo, which is spelled A-Y or A-I-Y-O, and it's called Below Freezing. All right. From Lael, I disagree with you, and the super chat is a great example of the point. I don't have to put at the line for you to realize this is addressing you. I disagree with you, and the super chat is a great example of the point. I don't have to put at the line for you to realize this is addressing you. So here's the thing, like, I recognize what you're saying, that this is addressing me, partly because you have clarified. Now, had I had a co-host on, as we often do, I wouldn't have known who you meant, or if you had said at the line, you would have probably meant the producer, which is often me amongst a couple other hosts. So I don't even know what I'm arguing with, but just telling you that there are additional circumstances that do make you, in a message that is clearly directed to me, especially over super chat, if you just put that in the live chat, just the phrase, I disagree with you, it wouldn't have been obvious. You could have been disagreeing with somebody else in the live chat. So I don't know what point you were trying to make, Lael. If you want to, you can specify some more and I'll try and engage with it. But truly, I'm confused, and would even suggest perhaps one day you call in and tell me what thing you are disagreeing with, because I don't know. There's a lot that isn't clear, despite that this message is saying one thing, which is clear, and that I agree that in the current context is clear. My ears are old, a little more volume. This one's a little bit, this one's not quite my style as much, but I don't dislike it. This is kind of, what's the name of this style of music? I'm just hearing those, like, it's got one of those things you hold in your hand, and it's got little metal prongs that you, it's basically by flicking them that you can do it. $4.99 does qualify. Any green. So basically, the way to know if your message will be read or not as a super chat is when you go to put the super chat, the default color is their $1 or $2 color. As long as you move it up to the $5 mark or the green mark, if it's at least green or a color beyond green, it'll be read out, basically. Let's see. Too Young to Feel This Old says, you're right, Jimmy. There is something wrong with my head. F you very much. That was me earlier in the show saying it confuses me that 900 people are watching right now. There's something wrong with all of you. But it didn't actually confuse me. It was just a little bit of fun. A little bit of fun to say, a little bit of fun to have. What did we peak at tonight, by the way? Let's see what our top view count was. 1,200. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad for a random show out of nowhere deciding just to go live. I'll tell you, I'm almost scared of this, and I'll tell you why. I used to say, and I think people didn't believe me, that one of my favorite things about The Line is that I'm its least popular host despite owning the channel. That has changed, and I have to tell you, I am glad the shows I'm on are doing better. I would have preferred they do better without me. And unfortunately, there's a direct line to there's things about Matt becoming sort of a solo venture with us and not splitting his time with another organization, and there are things about my coming on. This same show a year ago would have been 300 people watching at peak, and I am so looking forward to the day that the line runs without my face on it. I'm not kidding. That's super true. Without my face on it. I want to be running our community center, which is a plan in the future. I want to be running production of new things. There might be some things that I'd still want to do, like this game show that I'm developing for the line. I'll probably always want to host that because I think this thing is going to be the shit. I'm so excited for this game show that I'm working on. It's incredible. Yes, the kalimba. Anyway, I like it. I like it a lot. It is funny. Someone mentioned that Super Chat's broken. If you pay specifically in, I don't remember which currency it was, but when we checked, it only amounts to like $1.30 to get a green message from one of these, from one country whose conversion rate, the green starts at a much lower number, converted to American currency anyway. Yes, I do want to operate more behind the scenes, and production is my passion. I love being the man behind the organization or whatever else, but I don't need recognition. And I know that sounds like bullshit because I'm a public figure. People who know me in real life believe it completely, because they've seen what it does to me and how tough it is for me to do this part. But I love having the conversations. I really do. I really do love having the conversations. I love talking. I love doing the show. I think I'm good at it. I think I'm good at doing call-in shows, despite being an idiot, which I think is important to have at least one idiot on the channel doing it well, because it proves you don't have to be a fucking genius at biology like Forrest, or even a genius. Matt is proficient as a skeptic at an advanced level of intelligence. I like that I can show that proficiency among skepticism can be amongst a person who's kind of stupid. I enjoy that part. And this isn't me milking, like I'm not fishing for people like, Jimmy, stop it. You're not stupid. My level of intellect, I think, is accessible to the average human at minimum. And accessible means that it can still be stupid. Anyway, Sonic Shroom said, I could make a Godometer. It would just be a display that says 100% all the time. I don't know what this means. This must have been relevant to the chat you were all having at the time. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Excuse me. Shasta X says, that's what I'm talking about. I imagine that was also whatever was going on at the time. Maybe it was the conversation with Craig. All I know is I'm glad that you approved of whatever I was doing. It means the world to me. It really, really does. Raven200 says, hey, Jimmy, of all the arguments you've heard for a god, what has been the most ridiculous to you? Thank you. And I think you meant to say fuck you, but couldn't. Bye. YouTube won't let me curse. Oh, man. I gotta tell you, we kind of made history tonight because I'm not trying to be mean to Emmanuel, but to say, yes, it's an established fact, but the Bible disagrees, so I don't believe it. That's a lot. This song fucking slaps. God damn this. Ooh. 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 Man. I just want to not keep talking for a second. Obviously, I melted down the other night. Like, pretty much literally, I mean, I melted down the other night. No, because I am autistic, and that actually has a specific meaning that I did not approach. But it was my brain got fucking fried the other night when we were talking to Andrew. His position of thinking I had said something in agreement with him, when my point was essentially the Pope is just a person and only people influence the Pope, not God. And then I gave my reasoning, and he basically said, see, exactly, I agree. Then how are you a Catholic? Because you don't agree. You definitely don't agree with that. And basically I was also making the point that it's obvious God isn't in charge of the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church never innovates on social conditions for people, on treating people more justly before civilization does, before culture does. Oh man, I just got called a homosexual Jew. Wait, and it's sadly been a prevalent thing in all of it. What? Wow. I just got called a homosexual Jew. Or wait, are they calling Jesus a homosexual Jew? Either myself or Jesus was called a homosexual Jew on Twitter. I'm barely a Jew. I am 0.1%. That's literally the number according to my DNA. I am 0.1% Ashkenazi Jewish. Now listen, I wish I had more. I have cultural envy because I grew up around a lot of Jews, because our like unofficial family member was members were a lot of Jews. Those people you call uncle, but they're not your uncle. You know what I mean? I culturally, I wish I was more, but I simply am not. By the way, I'm going to play you a moment from the other night with Andrew that has become one of my favorite moments, I have to say. I even feel like it'll be good with the music. Let me make sure it's not going to blast your ears off, though. It'll blast your ears. I feel like I need this on my soundboard or as a meme. But here we go. Oh, wait, you can't hear it. We didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. I don't think y'all heard it. Let's try now. That's the fucking point! That's canon. Look at how almost the exact same, except for this thing that's fucking up on my neck. It now has a brother underneath it fucking up on my neck. I feel like whatever has been growing in there has moved over and is growing a new little head. I got to get to a dermatologist at some point, but I also don't take care of myself as quickly as I should with most medical things. And why should now be the exception? Anyway, let's see. Let me add this one in and go to the next chat here. That's the fucking point. I watched back that clip, and I hate hearing how high my voice gets when I scream. I like to think that I have a nice baritone to my voice, but then I get up here and I'm practically shrill. It's awful. Okay, so let's see. Nope, sorry. I didn't skip the last one. Yeah, so I would actually say the most ridiculous thing was actually today. Yes, it's an established fact, but the Bible disagrees, so do I. Mr. Fister, Mr. Sister says, Jimmy, just found your channel. I feel better about the world today after hearing that there's someone out there fighting the bigotry. Religion is a disease. I hope you find a cure. Thank you. I am the cure. No, I appreciate that. I'm glad you found this channel. Definitely check out all the other programming. It's fucking awesome. I am the least popular of hosts amongst the hosts in my heart. I like everybody on here more than me. It was that call with Andrew was on this show, Cus I Wanna. We did a Cus I Wanna back on Tuesday also because we had to change the HOSTility schedule. So it was on Cus I Wanna this last Tuesday. Oh yeah, by the way, you definitely can't insult me by calling me a homosexual Jew. First of all, it's half right. I'm queer. I'm not homosexual, but I'm half. And I'm 0.1% Jewish. So it's 50.1% correct. Homosexual Jew. Well, I have liquid this time, Dylan. So, I mean, I'm at the end, but I've done 2 of these this show. And that was the big problem, was I should have lubricated my voice, my throat. Yeah, that isolated quip, by the way, if anybody needs it or wants it, the clip of this, that's the fucking point. That is on Twitter, on my Twitter right now by itself, if you need to extract it in some way. All right. We read this one. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Fister, Mr. Sister. I love your name. That's very funny. A Margin says, thanks for the show, Jimmy. Here's some money. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. The snozberries taste like snozberries. Anyway, thank you, A Margin. I feel like that's a Student Dr. Ben and Skyrim reference at once. Carpenter Woodworking, Jimmy is resurrected. Jesus and I will send all of my possessions and go to the Holy Land of America to follow him. So the thing is, I am a woodworker, not a carpenter. I do dabble in carpentry, and I like carpentry, but carpentry is more wooden structure. So you could even say a carpenter builds the structure of a house or makes things look cool, stairs, trim, things of those nature can all be carpentry. Whereas I'm building more furniture and then small things. I'm getting into box making right now. I'm gonna make your box real nice. Anyway, and then things like I'm making these BDSM paddles that I thought would have been out by now, but here they aren't. The good news is Adam and Eve is looking to sponsor my personal channel, Jimmy Snow, and do a little sponsorship thing that we'll see how it goes after over here on the line. So this will be my little unofficial plug. You can now go to adamandeve.com and either use Snow or Line or both. Do one order, then the next order, and then you can alternate. You can do it again and again. You can either use Snow or Line at checkout at adamandeve.com. Sex toys is what it is. And you get 50% off one item. Again, you can do it one at a time and alternate back and forth between the codes. So anyway, just a thing to think about if you needed some sex toys, go to adamandeve.com. But anyway, that endorsement, that sponsorship they're doing on my personal channel, because I wouldn't, on the line, it's all going to go to production stuff. And right now I'm working on upgrading the stuff that a lot of people who work at the line use. That's what it's almost all going to go to. But my personal channel one, I'm going to finally buy me that saw stop because it covers most of the cost of these very fancy table saws that if your finger touches the spinning blade, instead of cutting your finger off, it shoots a break in a hundredths of a second, shoots a break into the blade, pulls it down and away, and will literally save you from getting your finger cut off. It's amazing. I'd love to make a dice box and DM screen. The thing is, anything that I'm going to produce that I'll put for sale publicly mostly will be things that I can basically create a way to make many of them, still by hand and everything. Some stuff will also utilize a CNC for parts, usually shaping. However, I'm still calling that by hand because actually in woodworking that is still called by hand, unless you're using it purely CNC for mass production and you're not doing anything. But I'll especially be using it for engraving and basic shape tools and stuff. Anyway, anything that I'm doing that I'm publicly making available will probably be things that I can make lots of. And so boxes are more of, I'm very interested in kinds of boxes. I want to make tons of individual ones. And these are more gifts for people that I love and stuff, that they can have an original Jimmy Snow, one of a kind box, not mass produced style, not ones that aren't unique. Anyway, puzzle boxes. I would love to get good at making puzzle boxes, but that's way down the road when I have way more time. Bryn Poo KC says, I needed the show today. Thanks, Jimmy, and fuck you. Fuck you too, Bryn Poo. But in the most loving way, of course, in the same way you were saying it to me. I'm glad that this was a show that filled a need for some people. Oh, wow, 3 hours. Jesus Christ. It's one of those days where I just don't even realize what's going on. Then again, we did almost an hour with just Craig's call, so I guess that makes sense to me. Let's see. Eddie Dean says, every chapter of my ethics book brings up God as a major reason as to why ethics and morals exist. The discussions are tough. A lot of time, I don't know what the hell to say. Help me out at Jimmy. So here's the thing. You can say there is... that's funny. You can say that there is... It is true that morals and ethics have been done in the name of God, or that some God belief has been attached. However, you cannot establish that a God ever wrote any ethics or morals on our hearts. You can't prove that part. I would be very, very frustrated in your place too. And so here's the, oh man, my deltoid is the pain patch I put on. It is starting to wear off a bit. The thing I'm going to tell you is get your grade. Don't worry about what stupid shit they're saying. Fighting it is often, if they're deliberately pushing religion and that's against the school's code, then for sure do like what you need to do. But for the most part, as an individual, get your passing grade and get the fuck out of there. It's not probably worth challenging much. And whenever you answer a question, answer the question with the answer the professor is looking for, not the answer you think is the best answer. Get your degree and move the fuck on is usually the best advice for school and classes, unless they are breaking specific policies. Like if it's a public institution and they're actually saying God exists, therefore blah, 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 then some other things come up. Oh, I know that bandsaws are also dangerous, but they aren't as dangerous as a table saw. You will probably not lose a full ass finger on a bandsaw. It's less likely on a bandsaw because of the speed at which it goes and the fact that your ability to react and pull away isn't enough time to catch you up and pull you in further and make it worse. But it is possible. I'm just saying it's less dangerous. You definitely should avoid being complacent on a bandsaw. I totally agree. It's just the table saw is the one that terrifies me. And I also need a more powerful table saw than I currently have. And that my 1.25 or 1.5 horsepower is frightening. I want that assurance when I get my 3 horsepower one. The one that's basically like, we're not stopping for nothing. You're not jamming this blade. It's not, I mean, obviously higher horsepower than that also exists, but it's pretty great. God damn. We got this one. Oh, wait. If a person you slighted won't forgive when efforts have been made to right the wrong against them, what then? No longer caring about their forgiveness and excessively trying to get it both look a bit psycho. So here's the thing. This happens to me because I used to be a huge piece of shit. So there are people out there whom I have done the work to become a better person. I have acknowledged that I am wrong, who aren't ready to accept or even have a conversation about accepting my forgiveness. And the answer is, if you don't just move on and decide, like, I'm not saying don't care, it still bugs me from time to time, but at a certain point, if those conversations can't happen, then they can't happen. And if you're going to try and push yourself in, you're now doing something else wrong that you'll need forgiveness for. And so at a certain point, it has to be that like I have an ex that I think about it with, where I'm like, man, the fucking like biggest piece of shit stuff I ever did was be a terrible partner to my ex, to basically project an expectation of more for her to eventually be a Mormon, but also like just not be a very collaborative partner. Luckily, when I was going to say being an abusive partner to my ex, that has such implications of like physicality and stuff that I don't, that's not how and I'm talking about an ex back when I was a Mormon, actually during the time I lost my Mormonism. And so when I say abuse, I wasn't beating this person. I wasn't berating this person, but I was a toxic, bad partner. I was manipulative and I had expectations of, I was just a piece of shit. We'll just go with piece of shit. Anyway, I would love to talk to her and sure, I'm not that person. Not only am I not that person, I acknowledge and accept the things that you felt slighted by were worthy of being slighted and being wrong about. But at last check, her position was she doesn't want to talk to me, and I'm going to respect that because it's not for me to go, but you have to. I've done all of this, and for you to not acknowledge it, the right thing for me to do is go, if I don't care about her boundaries now, why should she believe that I've changed at all? And so you have to respect other people's boundaries. And if you die without ever accepting their forgiveness that you deserved, it's not as though your life has to be any different. It's not like you go around and you weigh more, like you got a stone on your back for every forgiveness you haven't gotten. It's just a sort of a mental and emotional and intellectual stone. And despite how much you feel like you've moved on, doesn't mean they have. And there might still be damage that you did happening to them today. And so, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's unfortunately your only option if they're not willing to forgive you. And by the way, sometimes it's toxicity too. There are times where people will hold forgiveness out like a carrot and try to make you work for their forgiveness. And actually they're being a piece of shit at that point, depending on the circumstance. So weaponized forgiveness is also shitty. I have a family member very capable of such a thing, as I'll put it at that. So yeah, I don't know. Don't worry about it. I'm not saying don't worry at all about it, but at a certain point, you just have to move on. You just have to go like, all right, well, I've done what I feel like I can. And yes, I'm going to carry this as a weight and I'm not going to get closure. But my need for closure isn't more important than their need to hold a boundary in place that they feel they need to hold in place. Bat Dad sends $10, sending $10 to make sure you're aware that we are not cats. We're bats, I think. Happy to help. Real talk. Cus I Wanna has been a great add to the channel so far. Thanks for the content and go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Yeah, I do want to address one thing because I almost feel like I lied. I almost feel like I told I didn't mean to. So it wasn't a lie. It was unintentional. But I've told a lot of people, like, I'm going to launch this Cus I Wanna. And one of the things I'm going to do is, when I want to, I'll just text a bunch of friends and say like, hey, do you want to go with me? And to tell you the truth, I kind of like doing these shows solo. I will have friends. We've had Forrest with me on it Cus I Wanna before. But I think I presented the default is when I wanna, I'll bring someone else who wanna too. And I actually would suspect that I'm probably most often going to go solo because I'm realizing I like partner shows for a reason and I like solo shows for a reason. And these solo shows are where I really get to stretch my wings. And probably also means that I'll be better about not overstretching my wings on shows like HOSTility, where I want you to meet somebody. And obviously, like on the Sunday show, Matt and I, neither of us have a co-host personality, but we do that show together. And I've recognized that, especially Matt's got the tenure and everything else. Matt's got the experience, and Matt is I mean, as far as what we do, an atheist call-in show or skeptics call-in show, the GOAT. And so I've acknowledged that I'm the co-host of the show with the GOAT. However, I also like that by doing it with him, there's not anything weird on weeks that he has to take off. Like this coming week, I don't think anybody's going to feel remotely strange that it will be Forrest and I instead of Matt and I because he has to take the Sunday off. I think it actually makes days where either of us need a day off go more smoothly to have the consistency on the other weeks. So anyway, that's just how I feel. That's how I feel. I don't like the smell of pain patches. I guess what's probably menthol. I like mint. I like peppermint, but menthol, not as much. Not like this. Lillian Jarrett, just found this channel today and I'm loving it. Thanks for the content, Jimmy. Keep it up. Don't forget to look at the trees. Just look around you. Look at the trees. Lillian, I am so glad that this is not just one, but two people. I can't say two establishes a pattern, but maybe it does. If two people have said this is their first day and they're really loving it, whatever's happening in the algorithms, I'm loving it. This song fucking slaps. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. Oh. It's grindy. I feel like I should be doing something terribly dirty right now. This song is the shit. Lillian, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Let's see. We got a few more. Larry Fishman says, I have no use for nation states. Yep. Why humanity has continued to allow cliques of greedy freaks to carve up the world into semi-private fiefdoms is beyond me. Totally agree. One world government. I'm a part of the Illuminati. What up, everybody? I'm just kidding. I'm not, but people think I am, I'm sure. So we'll just say I am. Uh-oh. I skipped a super chat from David Evans. Did I? Let me go take a look here. No, I have them in my queue. I just haven't got to them yet. Is that what happened? Or did I accidentally miss it somehow? I see it's in the queue there. So let me go find the penguin. Oh, no. You're right. Yeah, I was right at the beginning of the show. Okay, let me jump back. Did I also miss this one before it? No, I did get that one. Okay, so I just missed this one. Sorry, David. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jen, for pointing that out. David Evans says, supporting the Jesus jokes. Keep them coming. Love the channel. Keep doing what you're doing. Very much appreciate that, David. Sorry again for almost missing it, but luckily we got back up in the chat. Taking care of business. Thank you. I got cookies for the heads up. And I appreciate you enjoying my jokes. I really do. I've heard a lot about Jesus coming, but he won't shut up about how hard it is for him to come a second time. Exactly. Oh my God, that couldn't have come at a better time. I have to cue that up and do it on purpose. Oh, how do I get it back? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna turn it up. Jesus won't shut up about coming a second time. And all I have to say to that is, we don't give a fuck, give a fuck, give a fuck. Oh, this song hurts. It's so good. Just gonna dance for the rest of the show. Ooh, 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 oh, oh! Jesus Christ! I think we just made the line history, though. That was quite a moment. We don't give a fuck, fuck. We don't give a fuck. I don't understand what you're saying when you say you don't hear any music. I can't even hear any music. What do you mean? I don't understand. I don't understand. By the way, thank you to Ben today, who was our call screener. Thank you to I Got Cookies, Dylan. I believe I saw Ilya earlier as well. Let me see if there's anybody that I'm very conspicuously missing for modding our chat. Also, we had the Logical Larynx. Thank you, everybody who shows up, who supports the show, who helps this show. We'll all have to hang out soon, maybe play some games. It'd be dope. We don't give a fuck, fuck. We don't give a fuck. Yeah. Jesus. All right, so where did we leave off on the regular queue before I went back? Damn. It's true, because we don't give a fuck, right? I gotta put this song on a playlist. This is too good a song to... I'm just gonna heart it real quick so I can find it easily later. God damn. All right. Yes, Alex, I'm so sorry. Alex is who, did I say Ben earlier? Alex is who screened today. Thank you, Alex, for both screening and Monty, and Lecky School. Thank you for being here too. Lecky School. Lecky School, or Lek is cool. We've talked about this before, and yet I've forgotten. Anyway, Katy Montgomerie says this was a great Friday surprise. Go heck yourself, Jimmy. I actually suspect you meant heck yourself. Most people, I assume, meant fuck, but I kind of think you meant heck. I don't know. Kathleen's always given us the business. We love Kathleen, even with her alleged dollars. Larry Fishman says, I have no use for nation state. Oh, we did hit this one. Why humanity has continued to allow cliques of greedy freaks to carve up the world into semi-private fiefdoms is beyond me. Totally agree. Comrade. As a native, this is from Eddie Dean, $10. As a Native American, I find it impossible to be patriotic. I'm taking an American government course, and it's hard to read because it totally skipped over the slaughter and genocide of my ancestors. Yeah, and that's kind of what I feel about a lot of places with real shitty histories. Like, it's got to not just, I don't know, it's got to be pretty hard for you, I imagine, to even seeing people in the U.S. being like, yeah, I'm an American, I'm blessed, this is the best country on the whole damn planet, and you're sitting there like, yeah, wasn't it so funny when you wiped out so much of my family? Best country on the planet, everybody. And I recognize that there isn't a solution where everybody just goes back to the countries they didn't conquer or whatever, but boy, the middle solution, the solution where everybody's happy, or at least everybody's the same little amount of sad, that sure hasn't happened. I don't know what the solution is. I know a lot of people advocate for a lot of things, but often we advocate for things that we don't think about the other extended consequences of. I'm just saying, clearly we haven't solved a lot of shit. Clearly. So the logical larynx, aka Alex, says, now is your time to get your super chats in. $5 more gets read on air. If you're wondering if I paid to tell you all this, yes, I did. Alex, that's so nice of you. You didn't have to do that. I very, very much appreciate it. I would have reminded them and shamed them to give money as well, but I am so touched that one of our mods and screeners would do so. Someone just got here. The call portion is over. It was the first 2 hours of the show. We're now reading super chats, listening to music, and then wrapping up because, fun fact, it is 10:24 in the evening and Jimmy Snow has not yet eaten a meal today and should do so now. But I wasn't feeling well, and on days I don't feel well, if I eat, it gets worse. And I knew I wanted to do a show tonight because of all the stuff that had been happening on Twitter, and so I decided to put it off until after the show. So we're gonna finish up super chats and then wrap it up, and Jimmy's gonna get some yum yum in his tum tum. Not the other type of yum yum this time though. Lekis Cool says, do you consider deism theism? I'm a deist, also with love and kindness. I need you to make a splintery wooden dildo and go fuck yourself. Yes, I do consider deism theism because it's very simply, again, the priority of changing your mind is below almost any other kind of theist. But deism is a subset of theism. You do believe there's only the two options. You're either atheist or theist. There isn't an in-between it. That's not what agnostic means, for example. And so deism definitely isn't atheist, and any position on if a God exists or not, specifically, that isn't atheist by necessity is theistic. And anything that is theistic is by necessity, isn't theistic, is by necessity atheist. So in the same way that a person who just believes in astrology, I can still consider an atheist, just not a skeptic, is still technically an atheist if they don't believe in any God on top of that. So spirituality even, it's why atheist is such a useless word, because it tells you so little, and yet it's the word that many of us who are public figures have attached on to the hardest because it is the word with the most stigma that needs removing of what we have, basically. Let's see. Bat Dad says, we know you're a guest here, Jimmy. Stop claiming otherwise. That's right. I don't know why the line keeps booking me. They should fucking fire me, censure me. I don't know what they're thinking about. God, I wish the line, whoever's running the line should really reconsider who they have on as a host. Jeff G says, Jimmy, you always say that we live in a deterministic universe, but we also have choice. If all things are essentially determined, is that really a choice? No, that's the point. We experience making choices. We have the experience of choice A, choice B, vanilla, chocolate. And then we experience deciding chocolate, right? Or vanilla, depending on if you're Emmanuel or anybody else, or vanilla. We have the experience, but the experience of that choice isn't magical. Something happened. Some natural process happened in your brain, whether it's attached to memories, whether you already had vanilla recently, whatever happened, were neurons firing, and they weren't firing at random. They were just firing complexly, or they were firing in a way that not even at random. You could say that they were firing defectively because of something that wasn't working right. So the choice you were going to make after all of the things that led up to that choice was always going to be chocolate. And the only way to change it from being chocolate is to change something about the past that led to you picking chocolate. But the problem is that same thing in the past also can't change unless you change something before it. And that thing in the past can't change unless you change something before it. And eventually you get all the way back to the first thing. Perhaps it's the Big Bang, perhaps it's something before that even. But you get back to the thing that, okay, for this to have changed, something before this would have had to have changed, and there is nothing before that that is changeable. That the Big Bang is a specific thing that happened, and if you can't change it, or if you go, this is the model of our universe and it's the one that happened, everything that subsequently happened, even the experience of having a choice, was going to happen. That's basically the point. To change from chocolate or vanilla, something before the choice being made has to change, whether it's neurons firing or whatever else. And for the different neuron to fire, this would need to change. And for that to have happened, this would need to change. And for that to have happened, all in a naturalistic line to the beginning of the universe. And since that beginning of the universe appears to likely be unchangeable, and certainly we can't change it now, from the point of that point to now, the thing that did happen to now, chocolate is the only thing that I was going to choose in that moment. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. You experience making choices, but it isn't as much of a choice as you think it is. It isn't as changeable as it feels. It isn't arbitrary. It is, you were picking chocolate, even though you considered vanilla real hard. Because you can't change the past, basically. And if you can't change the past, then the future is deterministic. I hope does that make more sense? Did that clear it up for anybody? The Raven 200 says, dude, your call with Andrew, the one where you lost your shite, was epic. The only other caller I can think of who was as frustrating was Bernard. Yeah, and then I've yelled at CJ a couple of times, but that was more for the lulz. This is genuinely what I look like when I'm frustrated. That's the fucking point! I do smile when I'm angry, by the way. That smile that I have on my face, my brain's wires aren't correct. They cross. So I cry when I'm enraged. If I'm fully enraged, I cry like I'm sad, but I'm not. And when I'm uncomfortable or I'm frustrated or impatient, I tend to smile. My brain doesn't send the signals to the right place. But I'm feeling anger in that moment when I'm saying that's the fucking point. Anger and frustration. Flip Granberg says, are you going to get PlayStation VR 2? It's releasing next Wednesday, and I'm super hyped about it. My first super chat, good show, and 4Q Jimmy. I can imagine if I have an amount of disposable income at some point to do that, if I have enough money to go, well, I'm going to get myself a little treat. That would probably be one of the things, especially with the preliminary reviews on it. I do have a PlayStation 5, so I probably would. But basically, if when disposable income presents itself, I don't have something of higher priority to get, because often I'll take my disposable income and put it into actually non-disposable income things like woodworking. I don't consider woodworking a disposable income project because I plan to make it my backup career, but also, a source of income itself. I might. I will tell you all, my birthday is not this Sunday, not the following Sunday, but the Sunday after that. And so maybe we'll do like a birthday stream. And if I decide I can take enough of the chats for myself and not the production and not put it back into production, maybe I'll get myself one for that when we do the birthday. Though that'll be on the week of the Sunday show. I might ask Aron if we can delay or cancel the Book of Mormon read that day so we can do a longer show with super chats or whatever, but I don't know yet. We'll find out. Man, look at I Got Cookies also sending the very kind super chat that also helps promote the show. I Got Cookies says, go fuck yourself, Jimmy, with toys from Adam and Eve, where everyone can get 50% off with the code SNOW or LINE. That's true. Both of those will work. One item, 50% off. There are some exclusions apply. Somebody finally told me one. They were like, hey, I tried to buy this. It was an exclusion, but now you can never, ever again say, but I've never found one because I told you it. Because that's what I used to say. Some exclusions apply, even though I've not come across one yet. And I've come across many. Anyway. So yeah, March 5th, correct, is my birthday. And it's coming up. And lately for my birthday, I've been buying other people production gear. Ember sent $5. Thanks for that shouty clip. We'll 100% use it at some point. And go fuck yourself. Hashtag President Snow. I do not mean this as a joke, as a humble thing, as a whatever. There is zero possibility I will ever run for anything like president. I used to think maybe I'd try and go for senator or a house. The chances of me running for any political office ever, very slim. I actively don't want to be president. Fuck that noise. I would hate it. But I appreciate the joke, the President Snow, and that's nice. And let's throw one more of these in again. That's the fucking point! Anyway. Raven 200, Jimmy, your playlist slaps harder than that time I fell down the stairs on my 23rd birthday. Ooh, you ever done a fall to the tailbone where you sort of like, you miss a step on your heel and then you boom, 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 and your butt comes down and you tailbone right onto the step? I did that once running down the stairs where I already was cutting it close to whether I was going to poo myself. Somehow didn't poo myself during that act. That seems unlikely. I feel like people who don't need to poop sometimes poop during tailbone injuries, but I guess I was already clenching and I was able to maintain my clench. What am I doing? What am I saying this? Only 2 more, and then we'll call it a night here unless something else comes in, though I'm happy to go and eat also. Send one in though if you've got something you want. Definitely do it. Mr. Fister, Mr. Sister said, hey Jimmy, you got any merch, dude? I'd buy it. Thanks for reading my name again. People need to laugh more. Love from Brookings, Oregon. So there's personal merch that's coming in the future. On my other channel, Jimmy Snow, you can find like my Teespring and stuff. I wouldn't bother with it. Like this is a terrible thing to do as a person running a business. Don't buy that merch because I barely even remember what's there. I'm going to be releasing, if you want to personally support me, you can buy stuff I make out of wood, like handcrafted stuff, if that's meaningful to you. But the line, this channel, will be launching merch in the near future itself too. So if you want to support specifically the line, wait for that merch. If you want to support specifically me and you want a piece of handmade wooden something, like I said, these BDSM paddles that'll be coming out, do that. Otherwise, yeah, wait for the lines thing. Yeah, we're running a company. We got to make that money. And yet it's still bad to say, don't buy my other merch. I don't even remember what's over there. There's some fun stuff like the pansexual flag with the words "it's not about cookware" on it, because I'm pansexual. It's not about cookware. I still wear mine every now and then. They're pretty funny, I think. Let's see. Well, I'm sorry, Shana, we're not taking more calls, but you can rewind and watch the first 2 hours of calls. But don't shit yourself and throw yourself down the stairs. That's silly. Nicholas says, if you wrong someone, they don't owe you forgiveness. It's not about you at that point. Sometimes leaving is healthy for them. I think that's a good point to make. It's not, our desire for forgiveness doesn't make us deserving of forgiveness. And even if we know we're not the person who did the thing we did in the past, that we're not that person anymore, it doesn't mean that it's not right. If just kind of like, I think about things like the not all men thing, where it's still reasonable for a woman to assume until you prove her wrong that they are in danger if you are a man, because of all of the things that men have done to women, and all of the ways in which, if you do find yourself in that precarious position, precarious isn't the right word, dangerous position, all the things about like, well, it's not all men, so you should have just trusted your way. And so it's kind of like, I get that. Like, look, okay, I can even acknowledge you've done your things to become better, but you deceived me or you did something to me in the past. And what is most, either I haven't recovered the damage you did with whatever I haven't recovered from, or it's still in my best interest to clamp up around you out of safety, even if nothing's ever going to happen. You just kind of have to let those things go, even if you know that it's not true. And what's funny is I've noticed that if I let go of an insistence of being forgiven, sometimes that's noticeable. And that's what actually brings a person to the table, where they're like, now that I see that it isn't important for me to forgive you on your terms, I'm ready to talk about doing it on my terms. But it doesn't happen every time. As I've said, I would love to have, I don't want to have a relationship again with this ex, but the ex that I was with when I came out of Mormonism, I wouldn't even say I want to have a friendship with them, because I can actually fully see that she and I there would still be elements to a current day friendship where it's kind of like I quit doing coke and then I also cut off all the friends I used to do coke with, because if you get back with the friends you used to do coke with, it's just a matter of time, and then you're gone. Like you're back on to doing coke. It's even when you go through therapy and they tell you, like, if you are in a relationship with another user, your options are breakup or relapse. And it's pretty true. I mean, of course, you're going to find those couple of people out there who are the exception, but it's so hard to be the exception that it's not worth trying to be the exception, I think. And I kind of see that too. Because like I wasn't the only toxic part of that relationship. However, I was the older one in the relationship. I was certainly the driver of the one in the relationship, and my toxicity was much louder than her toxicity, by a lot, honestly. And some of that was like growing up Mormon and being like, you know, you want the girlfriend who's a bit malleable. She wasn't much younger than me. She was like 2.5 years younger than me. Nothing crazy. But still, you still have this, like, the place you're in life, you're looking for somebody who's going to fit the role of a partner you want, not a person who's independent and you find the roles together. And I could see like toxic parts of myself could reemerge. And hopefully I would recognize them and push them down. But like, if she and I were to have a meaningful friendship where we're around each other a lot, there's definitely risk there. And so I don't know, I feel like I'm a good enough person that if low risk and given the opportunity, maybe I would be, but I wouldn't say that I'm advocating for, it's been so many years now. It's almost half my life ago at this point. Not quite, but it's 13 years-ish ago would have been the peak of our, just as things were peaking. We would broken up like another year later. So like 12 years ago now that we would have broken up. Maybe 11 years ago that we broke up. I don't remember shit about that time. It was right after that I really jumped into the coke too, which is part of it. But this song's for me. But anyway, it's not about that though. It's about, I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't be trying to get a friendship. Certainly wouldn't be trying to get a new romantic relationship. That I feel like would be a mistake in almost every way. But to be able to have a conversation and go, hey, I did this and I want you to know I did this and that I've held myself accountable. And if there's anything you want to say to me in any way in which reasonable way in which you would like me to demonstrate that I understand that, I'd be happy to. Like, let's do that. But the last thing I knew was that as of about 10 years ago, she just never wanted to speak again. And to violate that and like go around and say like, hey, could you tell her that I've changed? Would be me saying, come and still do this on my terms. And it would mean I hadn't changed. And so it's a complicated issue, and she doesn't owe me anything just because I changed, which is sort of what we were getting at with this. Just because I've changed and become a better person doesn't mean she owes me hearing that out and exposing herself to such a source of toxicity from her life. Even though they're not toxic anymore, just because I really want to do that. That wouldn't be cool. But anyway, I go on. I've talked about that story a few times over the years, and always kind of bugs me because I'm like, but man, I would love to have that convo. I really would, but it's not up to me. It's not up. And I even know I know the line of people that could get that proposition in front of her. Because I probably did use it a couple of times after, because I know that I had some ideas of wanting to talk, but truly was still a pretty big toxic piece of shit at those times. So we're talking about early after that 10 years ago establishment of never wanting to talk again. Might have even been 11 years ago establishment. I don't know. But anyway, all that said, it does still bug me and it bums me out, but I'm not going to push, because then pushing would mean I hadn't changed. And even the temptation to push, letting the temptation beyond just go, if I wanted to, I could do this. And if I were to ever go like, and that's fine, I've already gone too far, I feel. It would mean I hadn't. Because it would still be forgiveness on my terms, not hers. Sonic Shroom says, I should not trust a Christian because they have killed lots of people. Yeah, no, definitely not. It's always funny too, the way it's like, hey, this guy's a murderer, but he's fine now. He became a Christian in prison, so you should trust him not to murder you. That specific example, that redemption for the most heinous things can be becoming a Christian or rededicating your life to Christianity in prison. I find that to be pretty terrible. A terrible idea and a terrible thing to try and make a default. Anyway, I think that's it. Yep, that's it. Let's call it there. It was great seeing everybody. It was great talking. It was great hanging out. I'll fade the music off now because we all know that the way I like to end Cus I Wanna is the same way I start Cus I Wanna, because the intro also slaps super fucking hard. So we're going to go with our intro is our outro. We just use both at the same time. In the future, that's going to change. I'm right now working on a credit system for the high level tiers in Patreon. Don't forget, if you are on Patreon or if you'd like to be a patron, this Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time, so basically 2 hours after the Sunday show ends, Forrest and I will be going and taking calls on the Sunday show. We'll be going and we take calls on the Sunday show at 3. That goes till 5, and then we're going to do a Zoom 2 hours after the show ends, and we'll be taking questions, basically doing like a creator Q&A, hanging out with people on Zoom, and that's this Sunday. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/calltheline. Otherwise, I'm Jimmy Snow. This was the Cus I Wanna, and it's time to go because I want to do that too. Good night, everyone.